astronauts to the moon.
Ignition sequence start. 3, 2, 1.
Houston, we have a problem.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue.
What you're seeing here is a mirage.
What's going on, everyone? It's Jaron from Jeranism, back with another live video for you. Today, it's Friday. That means it's time for another Jeranism Friday Lounge. Not a lot planned, but we'll see how it goes. I do have some guests joining me, which is awesome. Always happy to have them. First and foremost, we have Iru Landucci. Iru, what's up?
Hello, Jeran. Hello, everyone. I need to tell you, man, your intro is the worst intro I ever see because it caused me too much anxiety. I want to destroy every corner of my house waiting for that clock to reach zero, man. Do it a little more short, something like
Yes.
20 seconds.
20
please.
second. Okay, I'll change it for you, Iru. No.
Thank you.
Actually,
you so
I think
much.
it is,
and
for those who
hello,
are
everyone in the chat.
For those who aren't waiting, it actually is much shorter than a minute and a half. We only have to deal with a minute and a half because there's a delay, right? So it's only an hour.
Yeah, but
It's
the
only
guy jumping all over the place with the hat.
It's very happy.
It's
very excited.
It's very happy, so much happy that I want to be like that, but I can't.
I like the idea of you tearing up your house, so that sounds exciting.
Okay.
Who else do we have joining us? We have Rodrigo Ferrari Nunez. Rodrigo, what's up?
How's it going, guys? Good. Thank you for having me. And we'll see how it goes. Lots of fresh NASA stuff. Today they're having some sort of podcast talking about how to become an astronaut. So that's exciting.
Yeah, that's coming up. Their selection process is right around the corner. We're all very excited about it. Elon Musk stories about him sending, building ships to go to Mars.
Thousands of ships, I think.
Thousands of ships, yeah, so that they can leave. Or what is he going to build? Like one every 3 days, or I don't know, something like that. I saw his...
one every 3 days. It's insane. I mean, come on. You can't come up with something more realistic. If you say one every 2 months, still is super, a big accomplishment. Right. One every 3 days, man. Even if you are in the third world. Even if you are in the super world war, you're never gonna do it.
No,
it's impossible. There is no way to.
I think they just keep trying to see what they can get away with, and that's kind of why I titled this show.
Yeah,
who's that?
Something with the sound here.
Somebody else joining? Hold on, I gotta go back here.
Bob's here.
Bob, what's up? We heard you. Oh, there's Bob.
Yeah, I'm here, but that wasn't me. I was muted.
Don't know who that
kind
was.
of echo. Maybe it's you, Jaron.
I don't know. Is it still there? No, it's not there anymore.
Of course, it went away.
It's not me. Haven't you guys noticed? We've been like 10 shows in a row with no audio issues, other than Dave Weiss on Monday night. But
I know that's remarkable.
I've got everything.
It happened to me twice this week that I jump into a scene on my OBS and the mic is in a different setting, and I go on for 2 minutes with no audio.
And rarely do I go on for hours anymore, Bob, without people seeing what's on the screen like I used to. People would have to text me, "We can't see what you're talking about." It's like, how to get over it. So, sorry we didn't have a show yesterday, Thursday. We were supposed to have a little interview show, but Iru had some personal business, or is that what you want to call it? Or business?
Yes.
Business.
Yeah, no, not again. I am a little bad in terms of my job relationship, so I need to get back to take care from my own. I lose one of the account because here in Argentina, everything in terms of the economics is very bad. So a lot of companies get closed and. Well, this time is there is a company that was related with my studio, and that company go away. So we are, finished some shops that we need to deliver, and the rest is on our hands.
Right.
But Did
the coronavirus change the currency there as well? The
coronavirus put 3 points up in the dollar. I mean, before the corona, and this is in the local news. I mean, before the coronavirus, the dollar was 61 pesos, $1, and now is 64 pesos, $1 after the coronavirus. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I always get confused. Is that good or bad for you?
Bad.
It's super bad.
Super valid.
Well, for Edo is, I mean, if you're getting Patreon, at least that helps, right, Edo? Because the patrons help with dollars. That helps a little bit,
Yes,
but the
no,
economy in the
that's
country.
of course that helped me a lot. But the thing is that when I get to the Patreon, it go to PayPal, and I am not use PayPal in my daily basis expenses. You know, I mean, I don't use that to buy food or to pay taxes, nothing like that. I use that anytime that I need to fly or buy something in other country. Of course, it's helped me a lot, but because if not, I don't have the chance to get ahorro. How you say ahorro? Saving in that currency in dollars. The only way that I have is via Patreon. That's the only thing that I can do, because here in Argentina, for all the things related with the dollar, you cannot buy more than $200 per month. And even if you buy $200 per month, the government put a new tax of 30% plus.
Wow.
Because supposedly for the authorities here in Argentina, we are in emergency situation. And it's true. I mean, there is a lot of people that get below the media class with the last government. So there is a lot of people on the street without the capability to get food. And that is for true. I mean, here in my own town, I see a lot of... That
happened before, right? With the time of the cartoneros in Buenos Aires.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's true.
When was that?
It starts like 5 years ago. And in the last 40 years, of course, this get more pronounced and get more heavy in terms of the people that get out on the streets. And the new government, because a few months ago we have the new president election, so another party, quote unquote, another party won the elections. So they came up with a new plan to trying to help those people on the street. So they say, okay, if you have not enough money to buy, it doesn't matter if it's $50 or $200 per month, you're going to pay 30% more on taxes, and those 30% more is going to go like in a special social plan for the people on the street. So, for example, every person, it doesn't matter, any person here in Argentina that, maybe pay Netflix, it's need to pay Netflix at the standard currency change plus a 30%.
Wow.
Yeah, it's insane. Because it's insane because the people that can buy $200 here in Argentina, we use dollars as a savings. It's not like in Brazil, for example. Here, everything you use pesos, which is our own money, but in parallel mode, you buy dollars as a saving. You don't buy land or because it's too expensive to buy some kind of land to then build a house. So you don't lose money with the peso, you buy dollar. So the people that reach the possibility to buy $200, now they need to pay 30% more. Wow. So you paid for $200, but you receive like 170, something like that. So it's insane. I mean, it's insane, really.
Yeah, that's nonsense. But you did promise that you'll be doing a presentation, right, this coming Thursday?
Yes, all this prelude that I made was for saying that, this Thursday, I'm going to do it, man.
I had to pull the reins back.
To everyone on the chat for this long economic thing. But here in Argentina, we are all scratching our head trying to reach the end of the month, Yeah,
it's crazy because in the States, you see, the president, saying how well they're doing and everything, and some countries are falling apart. And it's the same is happening in Brazil, very similar, probably not as hard as what's happening in Argentina, but it is going on as well. Nobody has money to do anything. My business partner in Brazil is on the black. Essentially, he can never have a credit card for a while. He owns like 80,000 or something like this. But people, you know, a lot of people go get their names. It's called dirty name. Name gets dirtied in the credit agencies because they cannot afford to pay back certain of the bills. And
you're never going to be a friend of a Rothschild or Soros or Rockefeller. No. If you are in that list, I mean.
No, you're going to be, It's probably because there's 11 million flat earthers in Brazil.
In Brazil,
That's probably why it's all falling apart over there.
Yeah. The thing is interesting because in the flat earth community in Brazil, there's a lot of evangelical people.
Right. It's
and there's a lot of fighting, lots of infighting.
Is it more Catholic or more evangelical Christian?
Oof, I think it's a mix. I mean,
it's a danger mix because it's like 50-50. So the battle will be, you know,
some variations. It's like I don't think people care so much.
It's an epic battle,
right?
Yeah. I don't think they care to defend. I mean, you don't have much Protestant church there so much. They're not very present, but you have some African religions and. Umbanda and Candomblé and there's Spiritism, there's other things, and they're all kind of people move around all of them. Some people, so we know that there's people who have looked into it, all of them. So there's that kind of thing. But I don't know. I left some of the WhatsApp groups that they had because it was just so much. People spending a whole day speaking and fighting over certain things. That just, for me, it seemed like such a waste of time. I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this. But yeah, it's the kind of thing. It's like it's very distracting because, especially if you want to focus on doing research, right? That there's a lot of people trying to have it their way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not sure it's the same in the States. Probably very similar.
I don't see a lot of that infighting here, but I mean, it's all here. It's all politics. It's all left, right, you know, that kind of breakdown. At least.
But here it's the same thing. I mean, in terms of the politics and economics, it's the same kind of game.
It's just a theater, right? It's
a theater, complete theater. But right for Freemasons.
Right.
It's basically like a reality TV show that people like to watch.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Who is going to get voted off on The Bachelor? You know, as far as who's it going to be? Is it going to be Elizabeth? Oh, she's stepping down. She's not taking the rose. You know, it's like it's all just theater. It's all nonsense.
It's crazy, and some guys can get away. They get away with doing certain things in the United States Congress that seem to be sort of incredible. Like people lie and they get caught lying, and nothing happens. Like it's all fine at the end. They have some sort of immunity.
It all depends on which
world.
News company is carrying it, right? Because each news company has their predominant side, and then they just basically. So you can get away with anything. I mean, if you're Biden, you can get away with anything on the news channels.
It's crazy.
It doesn't matter. They're never going to call him creepy Biden. They're never going to show the stuff that we've shown. They're never going to point out his lies. It's just all such theater. And once people recognize it, that's why I'm excited about the future, at least, because I'm seeing more and more people who understand that, who grasp that if you're watching ABC News, if you're watching CBS News, then of course it's just going to be Trump bashing. Trump can't do anything right, and it doesn't matter. They just set him up with these different, you know, whether it's the coronavirus, whether it's whatever they want, they can just set him up, and it doesn't matter which direction he goes. If he goes the direction of, we all need to panic, they'll say, the president's overly panicked, and if he sets it up as it's a hoax, then it's, the president calls this a hoax. You cannot win. It's impossible. And it's all by design. I mean, that's just exactly what it's supposed to be. And
it's by design.
By design.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then it just
in fact, here we have a lot of pictures, but real pictures, not CGI pictures, real pictures from all kind of different party in terms of politics inside of Freemason Lodge. Giving lectures, you know, invited to present their ideas and things like that, and nobody questioned that. But in campaign, when they go to television and start talking about the plan that they're going to present to save Argentina, they never talk about those kind of lecture inside of Masonic Lodge.
No, they'll never bring that up. They're not going to show you that.
They never bring it up. Never.
No, it's the same thing here. They're never going to explain any of that stuff or some of the stuff. I mean, I don't know. You guys watched that video on coronavirus and 5G. I don't know if you guys saw that one. That was, I think, Bob. Did you post it today? I think it was Bob who posted it. And
I didn't see it.
very interesting. I'll put it in the. Oh, did you come back, Bob? You there? Okay, maybe not. We'll talk about that in a second. Like I said, it is the Friday Lounge, so next Thursday we're going to have Iru doing a presentation. It might be 2 parts. We're not really sure. We'll see how it goes. If it's
Yeah. You know, I comment that in the Skype chat, but the thing is that for me, do it in Spanish. If I gonna do it in Spanish, it's gonna take me like 2 hours and maybe 10 minutes. So I assume that if I need to do it in English, where I going to be stuck in some parts, or maybe I going to maybe disorder the presentation a little bit.
Okay.
Maybe we can do it in two parts. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I'm trying to keep the Thursday shows a little bit shorter so we can look into that. Let's see here. What else was going on? We had the 200th episode of Jeranism Monday Night Raw on March 2nd. That was fun. I don't know if you guys got a chance to catch that, but it was a good show. A lot of people called in. A lot of people sent voice messages. I think everybody enjoyed it. And
when did it start, Jaren?
Hey, Jaren, can you hear me?
Yep. Now
Here
we
you
can.
are. Yep.
Oh, that's so weird to just quit working. I'm sorry. I was trying to answer you guys.
Oh. We just went right past it. It's like, we'll get back to that. We'll get back to Bob when he returns. So, yeah, we can talk about that in a second, but I was just mentioning we did the 200th episode of Raw. Thank you very much, by the way, Bob, for joining me for that. That was fun. Jason Lindgren was on. Dave Weiss was kind of on. No, he was trying to go he was trying to be on the show from his vacation spot in Puerto Rico, and had a little bit of a hard time, but it was still a fun show. So thank you, everybody, for that. That was extremely fun. Hopefully you guys got a chance to catch it. If not, that's on my Jeranism Raw YouTube channel, so check that out if you missed it. So anyway, back to what we were talking about. Yeah, Bob, we were just mentioning you put that link to the, what was it, BitChute that video was on?
Yeah. Okay. You can hear me, right? First of all,
we can hear you. We're good.
Okay, cool. God, that's so weird. Yeah, I sent that to virtually everybody I know because that particular video was done by Spacebusters, and I'm going to try and have them on Sunday.
Oh, cool.
And I'm honestly, I'm trying to figure out how I can talk about this and solutions for it without getting the channel shut down. So I'm sitting here going, maybe I should put up an ad on Globebusters, and we should do it on Globebusters too, while streaming on Twitch and DLive and stuff. But honestly,
has anybody tried to put that on YouTube and got removed?
Censorship.
This particular topic is more. Wow, what is that noise? Is that me?
I don't know. Somebody's near a car?
It was either.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So anyway, this particular topic, I think, is going to be even more censored than Flat Earth. And just by looking at what has happened to Spacebusters alone, in the government agents that have been released all over it, the fact that BitChute, it was trending as the number 3 all-time video, for the entire week, and then they just completely made it disappear. But what they reveal in there, guys, is something that is so amazing that it really needs to be talked about, because this is something that we can stop. This is something that I happen to know quite a bit about, and that is RF shielding. But it turns out that this so-called coronavirus, of course, we all knew that was a bunch of horse manure. What most people don't know is what is actually going on with this, and that is, the was it Wuhan, the original city that all the coronavirus was laid out. It was also the first city to go completely online with 5G. Well, and the 5G happens to use these frequencies that are 60 gigahertz, right? Well, there's something really interesting about 60 gigahertz, and that is what it does is it inhibits the hemoglobin in the blood from absorbing oxygen. So what's happening is these people in China are essentially being deprived of oxygen. exactly what is happening. That's why there are no, like wet cough symptoms. It starts with a fever. People are starting to turn blue, right? All with oxygen deprivation. All of these symptoms are absolutely commensurate with oxygen deprivation. And this is precisely what 60 gigahertz does. Now, a lot of people will say, well, what about the cruise ships and stuff like that? Well, it just so happens that these cruise ships that are were being detained and being affected are part of the Diamond Line, and they are using this new system for network communications that allows them to get broadband. And guess what? It's based on 5G. So essentially, what was happening with those passengers is they were getting inundated with 60 gigahertz signal. And again, it's causing this lack of ability to be able to absorb oxygen into the blood. Now, what are the people doing about it? Well, obviously they're going to try and roll out an antivirus, and they're probably going to make an antivirus vaccine, right?
Of course.
Yeah, and they're going to obviously make it compulsory, based on this fear mongering, and that's only going to be, an addition, to trying to, get us to essentially kill ourselves by taking the shot. But the bottom line is that the coronavirus, that what's happening in China, this is not caused by the virus. Viruses are not living things. The whole damn thing is a hoax, and it is basically a diversion to the 60 gigahertz 5G signals that are being put out, in this technology. Well, it just so happens that there are certain ways that this can be shielded against, and that's something I'm sure that they don't really want people talking about. And this is something that I know a little bit about, and I think that a lot of people in the community, once made aware of this, can actually come forth with some very, very effective information to be able to combat the 5G effects of oxygen deprivation, because that is what this is about.
Does it affect everyone the same way?
Well, nothing.
Pretty much.
Well,
I mean,
go ahead, Bob.
It affects everybody as far as oxygen deprivation. Of course, your health obviously will have a lot to do with it. It's obviously going to affect older people. Right. People that are already on oxygen, they're going to be toast, right? I mean, that's going to be a big problem right there. But yeah, the symptoms are going to vary in their extremities. So in that respect, no, they're not going to affect everybody the same way. But ultimately, it's doing the same thing. And how those symptoms manifest will be, depending on your personal health.
Slowly over time, then it's horrible. Right
Yes.
away, probably nothing, but over time, it's drip, drip.
Well, and again, it also depends on the proximity, the field strength that you are exposed to this. If you are sitting there right in the midst of, a 5G, right next to a 5G transmission, it's probably going to cause you to pass out right away, if not die immediately from, oxygen deprivation. But this is, these are ultimately the symptoms of this thing. And that's what this is really about. And I think that, boy, they are going to come down on anybody talking about this, the real reason behind it.
Very interesting. I have it up on the screen right now, the BitChute video, and I'll put the link into the description so if people want to follow and watch that. But I do agree it's going to be, censored if any of that information is correct, and people can do with it what they want. It's certainly an interesting video. Although I do agree here, Witsit Gets It says, but Bob, faster download speeds.
Well, hell, okay. Well, that's worth it.
Come on.
Thanks, Austin.
Thanks, Austin, for the super chat. And I do believe if you want to join the call, you're welcome. I think you're on the list, yeah. It's just all such nonsense. That's why I named this show, all nonsense, because it just seems to me no matter which direction you look today, it's just nonsense. My sister's supposed to run in some 5K race in San Francisco on Sunday. They canceled that due to the coronavirus. I just can't take it.
But the thing is,
it's so stupid.
The thing is that something that I don't understand is that for some reason all this 5G technology never reached the ISS and give us a good quality feedback video. Never, man. I mean, so many satellites out there, so many possibilities in terms of technology, but they never use it.
I'm sure Elon Musk is going to put on his 1,000 ships lots of cameras and it's going to solve all the problems.
7Gs, yeah.
7Gs. I think that the biggest nonsense about the coronavirus that I've seen so far is this fact that they need to have a specific test. Oh, we don't have enough tests. Like, you wouldn't be able to just test somebody's blood, or like you wouldn't just
Immediately.
just immediately. Like, you would need a specific test. This is the same thing. I mean, it's like sending out a specific program that you need to have run if you want to see how far away the stars are, or some. It's all the same thing. It's like it's manufactured when you need. Oh, we need more tests. You need this specific test, and this specific test will tell you if you have this specific virus. Yeah. It's such nonsense. If it was any kind
it's so easy to fraud that. Like,
so easy.
Yeah. And I want to point something out. Already, the stupid people are arriving in chat. 5G does not refer to 5 gigahertz, like on your Wi-Fi. 5.7, 5.6 gigahertz. It's on your Wi-Fi.
Generation.
5G means 5th generation,
right?
And its specific carrier frequencies are around the 60 gigahertz. Bandwidth, which by the way, the FCC has made an unlicensed spectrum, right? In other words, anybody can use it. So they're hoping that, of course, the consumer markets, everybody's going to put everything in this 5G, and people will literally be poisoning themselves by oxygen deprivation because of the 60 gigahertz bandwidth. You guys really need to watch this video. This is without a doubt the most comprehensive video there is out there. But for those of you that are stupid, like some people in the chat that have already brought this up, it is not 5.6 gigahertz 5G Wi-Fi. Not that at all.
No, totally different.
So there's a threshold, you're saying, Bob, that once you cross, it starts affecting biology and messing things up, and could be other effects of different frequencies and so on?
Yeah, in fact, there's been several scientific studies on it. And this is really interesting that when you look at oxygen absorption, when you get into that 60 gigahertz frequency range, it literally spikes off the chart. I mean, it eats it for breakfast. Which is absolutely amazing, and it's affecting the hemoglobin in the blood from actually being able to absorb this. And this is actually something that is not uncommon. I've actually known about it, and working with RF for quite some time. I had no idea what it did at 60 gigahertz. So I'm not purporting to be an expert on that, but I do know that this is the reason that they need to have this every several hundred feet, basically these transmitters, is because the fall off of the field strength will be very rapid. Of course, the benefit of that is there are things that you can do within your house that can actually shield you from this RF. And this is something that I'm going to look into very deeply.
Even plants, maybe, Bob, even plants and trees, because I heard it doesn't go around plants and trees. You want to get rid of them to make it more effective.
Yeah, I have no idea, honestly, Rodrigo, how it works there. This is something that, this revelation is fairly new for me, and I'm certainly going to be doing a lot more research into it. But I guarantee you that this is their big card. This is the big thing that they're going to do, and they're masking it with the coronavirus, trying to make people believe that, that there's this incredibly virulent virus going around that develops these crazy ass symptoms, and really what they're trying to mask is the effects of the 5G.
I just don't think there's anything to be fearful of as far as this all goes. I think that when you have to develop a test so that people, I mean, for all we know, then coronavirus was here last year and the year before and the year before, and it comes and goes. And you would have no way of knowing that that's not the case if there has to be a specific test for it. Like, how would you know?
Well, exactly. And that's if the coronavirus, there is no such, it's not a living organism. In other words, they want you to believe that viruses are living organisms. They are not. But again, this is all a complete diversion. And the thing that is new is what they're rolling out. And yeah, a lot of people, some people in the chat have said, well, a lot of people are already on 5G. Well, there are different phases of the 5G. But, they're saying some of the cities, like, for example, supposedly, our power meters are on this 5G. Well, it's not a 60 gigahertz revelation and our frequency bandwidth. So the one city that was absolutely rolled out with it 100% across the city was Wuhan, right? And interestingly enough, Huawei, one of China's biggest companies, who supposedly has been blacklisted by the U.S. government because they wouldn't allow, Huawei would not put in the protocols to allow the CIA to spy on people's phones and all this. So again, all of this is diversion tactics and stuff. And like everything else, the left hand, you're saying, look what my left hand's doing. Well, the right hand is over here doing something completely different. And again, like I said, I'm not trying to spread fear mongering. What I'm saying, and I think this is one of the reasons they don't want this to get out, is that the RF shielding for those type of frequencies is not something that is overly difficult to achieve. And if people actually protect themselves against that, if 5G or 60 gigahertz has been rolled out, then this is really good information for people to have, So
it's kind of like a proverbial tinfoil hat, literally kind of thing, but it's real.
Yeah,
because that's kind of how you get your shielding, right? There'll be different materials that you need to put around your house.
Right. And like Mr. Anderson says in the chat, we all need Faraday cages. Well, that would be kind of an extremity, but there are other ways to actually, defer that. But yeah, a Faraday cage would be ideal because that would definitely block out those EM radiations. The only thing is it would have to be a very fine mesh in the Faraday cage because 60 gigahertz has an extremely short wavelength.
How does that compare to
the problem
microwave?
is also when you go outside of your house. I mean, the people that maybe has a lot, spend a lot of time working in a company which is outside of your house, and the place where you go maybe it's not shielded correctly or even shield. And we have a lot of things to think about it. The thing is also, if you start combining it with the Georgia Guidestones and all these eugenetic plans
Agenda 21
that are out there, the 2030 agenda, things like that. It's not for scare, but I mean, it's like start happening, things like that.
Yeah, that's my thing. I don't tell anybody that they need to fear this, but to be informed is a good thing. And like I said, I'll put that link to the BitChute video in the description, and if people want to watch, and it's got some interesting points in there. Definitely the interesting point about Wuhan having that 5G rollout. I think a lot of it is interesting, but it does a good job of explaining to you right from the start that it's not a virus, you can't catch it from somebody else, and that kind of bullshit. But the whole thing with the tests and having to roll out these tests, and we don't have enough tests to test everybody, is just the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And people are falling for it everywhere, and now it's just becoming this huge issue. I did see, what did Dave Weiss send in the chat? Did you guys see this?
Yeah, that was in
Sylvia Brown
I think it was the
book?
Russian vids are showing this. It's in a book saying that in 2020 there's going to be a epidemic, and that was going to vanish just as quickly as it appeared, if I remember. But yeah.
I don't know. It's in Sylvia Brown's book. It basically says, in around 2020, a severe pneumonia-like illness will spread throughout the globe, attacking the lungs and the bronchi. Already we know she's wrong because it says globe, so she don't have a clue.
Right?
Attacking the lungs and the bronchial tubes and resisting all known treatments. Almost more baffling than the illness itself will be the fact that it will suddenly vanish as quickly as it arrived, attack again 10 years later, and then disappear completely. Thank you, Sylvia Brown.
And that's because they're trying to treat for the wrong thing. They're trying to treat for like this is some sort of a virus or some sort of an actual medical condition, when in fact it is caused by direct radiation of this 60 gigahertz frequency. And this is the brilliance behind this. And I guarantee you that just watching your chat already, that the trolls are showing up, coming out of the woodwork. This is something that they are absolutely going to try and clamp down on to nth degree. And by the way, Spacebusters released a video today talking about what was going on, with their video on BitChute. And not only has it been completely deranked and literally taken out of the listings altogether after being number 3 on the entire site, for that trending virus, but they also now have an army of trolls, which interestingly enough are being hidden from the posters. In other words, Spacebusters are seeing it as a deleted or an invisible type of message, but you go outside of it and you've got these trolls all posting. They're obviously government agents. that are posting and trying to discredit the whole thing. Absolutely astounding. That's why I think this is going to be huge, guys.
So you can still watch it on BitChute though.
Yeah, it's still there.
Yeah, it's still
The
there.
link's still
And
there.
if not, I have downloaded it onto a Google Drive, and I would highly recommend to everybody that they, really spread this around, because again, it's not fear mongering. This is one of those cases where awareness can make all the difference in the world. Because go ahead.
I was going to ask you a couple of questions on this. You mentioned the hemoglobin being important. Maybe you can talk about the iron there and in relation to these frequencies. And then it was just a curiosity question, like on the microwave, the kind of microwave people have that cooks water. Is there a way that you can compare that? Because we know that's harmful to this.
It is, but here's the difference. The microwave that people cook with is in about the 2.4 gigahertz range. Again, another unlicensed bandwidth. Okay, that's why you see Wi-Fi there. You see microwave ovens and stuff like this. And while it is deleterious, obviously, to human tissue, you certainly don't want to be cooking yourself with it. As is most electromagnetic radiation actually can be deleterious. The thing about 5G is this 60 gigahertz frequency that seems to literally absorb oxygen. I mean, it is uncanny. It's a bizarre effect what actually happens with oxygen on this. So, yeah, it's very, very different.
So it's like a weapon then. And if they know it, people proving this, you can get one of these machines and prove this. Don't you have to put these people in jail?
Yeah, like that's going to happen. This is part of the world agenda.
Correct.
And if there's we know there hasn't been enough testing on any of this stuff either. So
that sounds pretty simple. You grab one of these things, you put it against some meat or a cricket, and then you have it. You're like, okay. I think people, when they get to know this, they'll go out and destroy these machines with hammers.
They would.
Yeah, what's interesting is before the rollout of 5G, literally tens, 20, 30s of thousands of scientists were saying, this is not a good idea. This is a bad idea, because obviously they were very aware of the biological effects that this could actually have. So, I mean, it's not like this is undocumented, guys. This is well documented. And even
crazy.
And so basically they're saying that there needs to be a scapegoat, if I understand the video from BitChute correctly, right? That there needs to be a scapegoat for some of this 5G stuff that's going to start coming out. So call it coronavirus, start blaming it on a coronavirus. Now people will think when they come down with some sort of sickness that it's because they got it transmitted through human-to-human contact or from some ship or from some sick person. And really the underlying cause may be something completely different. That's basically the gist of the video, right?
Yes, that is absolutely it. I mean, it is a complete diversion tactic, so that people will believe that, oh my God, it's the coronavirus. And as they start turning on more and more cities with this, these so-called symptoms of the, coronavirus are going to be popping up. People going into convulsions, passing out right on the streets. And of course, none of them actually have classic pneumonia or flu symptoms where you have like a wet cough or anything like that. It's like a dry cough. It's like, a fever. Of course, a fever, obviously, you're being irradiated. So obviously you're going to have a fever. But like I said, the key to this is the absorption of oxygen. That 60 gigahertz, that particular spectrum alone, it causes to happen. And science is very, very aware of this. But so, kudos to Spacebusters for this. I mean, this documentary is absolutely probably the best weapon we could ever have in promoting awareness. And, I think people need to get this to their physicians, to everybody out there, especially RF engineers that can kind of give tips on how we can block these frequencies, specifically from our own person, right? Because that's what it is. It's an attack on your body in that. And of course, the lungs, right? One of the primary affected organs.
Could you use a counter frequency to block the frequency, or not? It would be shielding.
I wouldn't think that would be a good idea. Yeah, technically you could cause a heterodyne to happen, but that's not going to block the primary frequency. What you need to do is shunt away that primary frequency or block it somehow. In fact, Wendell Walton posted in earlier that there are companies that actually are producing Faraday cages and Faraday solutions for your house, to guard against this exact type of thing. So the technology is already out there. And I think now what it involves is to make people aware of it, not fearmonger over it, to simply become aware of the facts and take action based on that. Because we do have a defense. There are defenses for this type of attack.
Mm-hmm. And there's people who've been sensitive to these frequencies for a long, long time and report feeling very ill, but they're, because it's kind of rare, people don't take them seriously so much. You know what I'm talking about as well, right? It's that.
Yeah,
Yes.
Even other frequencies, other stuff, the stuff that we are used to.
Yeah, Sophia Smallstorm has talked about that before. I've heard it from Crow and Jason. There's a lot of talk around that. I've never felt sensitive to it, but then again, I'm not near 5G that I know of. I think it's up in Sacramento, a couple other places I've seen it, but I don't know where it's being released as widespread as supposedly Wuhan.
Right. Yeah, and that right there.
And there is a lot of people also supposedly, sorry Bob for interrupt you, supposedly there is like a big focus on Italy.
Right.
There is supposedly is one of the most affected countries. I don't know the relationship between that.
Me here. Close to me here, and people that we know who were planning to go to Italy just recently couldn't go, and of course many businesses closing, and it's a way to bring down the economy as well. When you create the fear, if it's a perception, and you tell people to stay home and close all the places, the economy just basically collapses. People cannot work. So I really love
one of the side effects of this coronavirus was NASA published how China go low in the contaminations, industry. I mean, it's the smog in the air. So they
good for the environment.
Did you see that news? So NASA present like a satellite image from China with the smog when China is in full activity. And now, after the coronavirus, it's like a clean air. And I always think in terms of how China, allow to a satellite from United States to take a picture. I mean, it's not that some kind of military issue.
No, you can do it all you want. Russia.
They work together.
Okay. Thank you. Jerry.
It's like in Newsbenders, right? He was saying when you get to the issue of China and weapons. And he said, and then the guy from the elite, he says, "Yeah, we let them play their game. We help them out. We kind of keep them at it, right? You need the boogeyman. It's all kind of, it's like the Kim Jong-il or whatever, like going to Switzerland for his education, and it's a total puppet."
Oh boy. Well, before the show, I was watching. Crow was on with Owen, so if people want to check that out after or now. I guess we could check over there and see what they're talking about. I'll look over real quick, but I was watching that, and then I said, "Oh, we got to get the show started." So I know Bob said, "Are you going to do a show?" I forgot to even ask anybody. Are you guys going to be on? Because I was busy watching these two. Let me see what they're discussing.
I know, and I was so busy spamming everybody I know with that link, saying, learn it, pass it around, and again, everybody out there, those links. I guarantee you, with the amount that they've already suppressed it, they'll probably wind up deleting it. I personally have downloaded it on 3 machines. I have it on a Google Drive, which I will post, if need be. But I would suggest that I don't know if I would put it on YouTube, but just make it accessible for people. That's right. The most important thing, because this is information, guys. I'm not trying to fearmonger. I'm simply saying that this information, in my opinion, is very, very helpful and very, very crucial.
By the way, Bob is not selling anything.
No, I'm not selling anything.
Let's see what Crow.
I sent you in the comment section the maps show drastic drop in China air pollution, but that is a really fantastic tactic to bring into the people's minds the idea of space. Every chance that they have to put you the globe in your head, it's taken without even think about it.
If there's fires,
they milk
if there's
every
smoke,
disaster.
Yes.
Let me see what Crow's talking about with I think
to
Jason's
seek
on
heaven
too,
and how to do it, and that's why they're burning it down. But my point is, at the point it was made, a human being worked 14 weeks out of a year and lived well. There's the social engineering.
100%.
The reason why we live in these cheap, easy to manufacture houses is because they've cheapened our life down.
That's right.
The quality of the life and what we're talking about, from cathedrals that were built with cymatics or have things encoded in them, is night and day difference from prefab, slap it up, who cares if it gets knocked down, we'll just build another one and sell it to somebody for 10 times the profit. That's what they've done.
So they were discussing
but-
obviously lots of good topics throughout that whole thing. People can check that out if they want. That's
Yeah,
today's
we
stream.
see this here in Holland a lot, Jaron. I was talking to some people about this actually. Here, you see many houses that are built in the baby boom era, and they basically, cut and paste homes, and they're set up in a certain way. They're basically boxes a family in a certain pattern. And they still do this, like all the social housing you have all around the world. In the United States, you have so many of them.
Well, it's interesting that, when it's funny because I asked my dad's an electrician, and I asked him when all those fires happened, right? All the California fires that seemed to just tear through houses but leave trees unburned and this and that. I just wanted to get his opinion on it. And I said, what do you think of that? And he says, it has everything to do with the material that they use to build houses. He's like, houses now are basically made of cardboard. And he said that has changed since when he first started. And, people can believe whatever they want about that. I understand the other opinions. But it was just interesting to hear him say that because he's been an electrician for, obviously my entire life and for, 20 or 30 years before that. And, that's what he said. He said he's seen houses which used to be made with great wood and with, all these great supplies. And now, as you move forward, these houses that are being built, he said, starting in the 80s, 90s, are just terrible, terrible material. And he's like, it doesn't surprise me in the least bit that a fire would rip through that, especially with any kind of wind, and just rip those houses to shred because they're made of shit. He's like,
right?
So,
you can punch through a wall in some of these houses in the States, right?
Right. And he says because it's made with just such cheap material.
Plaster and plywood.
My dad told me, because I asked him, how much does it cost, do you think, to build a house? He said, if you were to go get the materials that they use to build a house yourself, and you had the same deals that these, he said $30,000 or $40,000 would build a house that they turn and sell for anywhere from, in California at least, from anywhere from $250,000 to millions of dollars. But he said that building material is nothing. It's nothing at all, and the time it takes him to put it up. I mean, the real cost of a house is multiple times. It's not like when you mark up things and my cost is $6, so I'll charge somebody $9.99. No, it's like my cost is $30,000 and I'll charge somebody $690,000 just because of the area it's in. And you can know this because there's houses in my city that are built by the same company. I forgot what it's called, Stone Ridge or something like that, Stone Ridge Homes. But you can look, all these houses are being built in multiple cities around California, and it just depends on what city they're built in that determines the price. It's just hilarious, right? If it's built in a city where houses go for $250,000, then they charge $250,000. If the same house is built in a city where houses go for $900,000, then the house is $900,000. Well, where's that extra profit going?
Yeah, exactly. To give you an example of that, Jaron, I mean, you've seen my house, and when Cammie and I were searching for houses and getting ready to buy, and this was back in 2001, 2002, because our house was built in 2002, you will have different developers that build houses in different areas of the cities. Right. Well, this just happens to be an Oakwood home, right? And so Oakwood was developing in the Lowry area out in Lakewood and stuff like that. And what we noticed, and this is amazing, when we looked at houses in the Lowry area, which is more of a kind of a yuppie, more progressive type of area compared to Green Valley, Ranch where we're at now, the exact same house. Right. For a $350,000 house, the exact same house sold for $100,000 more in that area than what we paid for ours.
Right. Like, where's that extra money going?
Just the area. Stupid. The area has Well, it's similar.
The whole deal is they just want to keep people in debt as much as possible, as much as possible. Whatever. It's not about getting people things for the price that they can afford, and everybody makes a little bit of money. Imagine if we had a world like that. And that isn't at all the case. It's whatever people will pay. So it doesn't matter what the cost of an iPhone is. The price of an iPhone is the amount people are willing to let go of for that device. Right? It has nothing to do with cost.
Much of that's the marketing too.
Oh, absolutely.
Remember diamonds. Imagine that's the most. It's the
so
cliche
stupid.
of the examples, but it's the most extreme. It's something natural that it's everywhere, and they make it the most expensive thing.
So stupid.
Just with propaganda.
Yeah, no, and people need to watch Crow and Jason with Owen today because they were talking a lot about the diamonds earlier before the show started. And I just think that's such a funny story, and it's ridiculous that people... Luckily, I've got a wife that cares nothing about that now.
Right.
I mean, she would slap me across the face if I bought her a diamond. What the hell are you doing?
And it's funny because, when Cammie bought and sold diamonds for 30 years for, for a jewelry company, a high-end jewelry company, and it would freak me out because they would, we would get all these diamond dealers coming here from like Israel, and they'd go up and they'd use my desk in my office, right? So they'd go up, sit at my desk, and they would dump out $3 million worth of diamonds on my desk, and I'm just sitting there going, oh my God.
So stupid. Especially when one company owns them all and can, basically dictate the price. If there's any bigger scam than diamonds, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, there is one. Paper money, it's called.
There you go.
Yeah, no doubt.
There you go.
Because, at least the diamond has a natural purpose. You can use for a lot of stuff. Exactly, man.
It's useful.
But the paper,
Bob just said it.
I could wipe my ass with. I could wipe my ass with paper money.
Well, I don't recommend you, man,
It's not
because
smart to
maybe
do,
you're
but-
gonna take some kind of scratches, and
Paper
maybe
cuts.
the coronavirus can enter
That's
more
true.
freely.
Maybe cocaine, or they say it's all dollar bills have
Yeah.
cocaine and feces.
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, that's so gross.
Stuff.
It's probably
Don't put
true.
that in your mouth. Don't put that in your mouth. Maybe people are learning from that, at least with the coronavirus. Is don't put your hands
No, but
in your mouth.
that's one of the things. I mean, everyone I think grows up and at some point thinks about that, because you look around and you see your parents, pulling some paper that they need to get, and that paper, people willing to take it for stuff, and you're like, holy,
It's so
how
funny.
does that work?
How does that work? Yeah,
how
people ask
how do I
questions.
make my paper that's worth something?
That's so
how
dumb.
did he do that one? And it's all just a belief. It's very odd, and there's very little we can do about it. People have tried.
It's such an odd belief too, in the fact that if anything ever happened, let's say the dollar crashed, which is I don't see happening. A lot of people think that's happening or it's coming soon. I don't see the United States dollar crashing as per se. It's just too much faith behind it. Because I told people, I said, well, it'll never be that somebody on the street will take a $100 bill for a $1 bill. Doesn't matter how far the dollar crashes. Doesn't matter how worthless it is. A $100 bill will always be worth more than a $1 bill. So they've essentially done their job. They've done a good job at least securing that much.
Yeah, it's amazing how much more 2 zeros will increase a piece of paper, huh?
Thank you for printing
Fiat,
that.
Isn't it so weird?
it's fiat paper. That came from a long time ago with the Templars, the Black Novelty from Venetia, and blah blah blah.
Yeah, I
blah.
had
But
coins
it's-
before, right? The money isn't it
but-
the Dutch that do it or something?
Yeah, also
Some
that.
coin.
But I mean, at least a coin is a metal.
Right. That's right. That was the
It was
idea at
worth
first.
something.
Because you had to
Exactly.
measure
That
them.
was the idea. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
Use
yeah,
in
you-
nature.
Mhm.
But now it's paper, man. I mean, paper.
Right.
It's weird.
It's nothing.
And this that you
And-
said
and-
is
Print as much
interesting,
as they want.
because they
And in a few months, maybe a few years more, we don't even have paper because it's gonna be cryptocurrency. So
right. That's
you don't
coming as
even
well.
use for heat. For nothing, man. Even for clean your ass, Jaron. With
Thank you.
cryptocurrency, you cannot clean your ass.
Yeah,
No,
but
no.
you've seen, I'm not sure you guys seen, but in some places where the inflation hit extremes, like in Africa, some places that got completely destroyed the economy, people carrying money in
Wheelbarrows.
almost like bags of hay
Yeah,
to buy bread,
wheelbarrows.
you've seen this,
I've seen that.
bushels of money to buy one bread.
I've seen that before.
Yeah, Venezuela.
Iru, you want to screen share? I got to run to the restroom. That'd be good if you set up your screen share now. Or no?
Well, yeah. Resident.
What? What's that?
No, that was like something that I didn't expect to share
alone
screen
with the
now.
ship.
You don't have to now if
But-
you don't want to.
No, because I was working while
Okay, you can work.
we have a conversation. So if you can give me a few moments,
Sure. And you keep talking
maybe
while I run
some-
to
Yeah, we'll
pee
we'll
real
keep
quick.
talking. You can
Thank
go to the bathroom, Jaron. It's cool.
That's thank you for
hey,
the permission.
get up.
We got-
Don't
we got
use US dollars.
I'm gonna make sure
okay?
I use a $1 bill, not 100. But
Yeah,
okay.
keep
Okay,
the dollar bills.
because maybe Jaron go to the bathroom to test his idea. I recommend it and put in my Patreon, whatever you want, but don't clean your, okay?
I was gonna say either, like the thing you said about coins, it's interesting because even when they were printing, the faces of people in the coins, back in the day in antiquity, you have so many, thousands of these Roman coins everywhere in Europe. When you arrived in a new town, there was always in the market a measurement place where you're able to exchange your coins for the local coins or to do different kinds of exchanges. And it had to always be weighted, like you said, right? You have to check what metal it is and everything. There's different kinds of scams that are possible there with different. In Egypt, there was a lot of scamming that's known, that they use different kinds of weights, counterweights, that were heavier than they seem, or lighter. And this kind of stuff is interesting because it's being studied. And it's something to look into, which is like the different coinage systems that have existed, the different weights and measures systems, but nothing like this with paper and virtual. This is just even more extreme. The virtual is so weird. Where is it?
Yeah, it's literally not worth the paper it's printed at. Well, it's getting to that point. I mean, it's obviously worth a lot more in terms of trade, than the paper it's printed on. But it used to be when money was, made out of silver and gold and precious metals. And, in other words, the backing for the money was in the metal in the coin itself. And, at the price of gold and platinum and, some of these other precious metals, if we actually started minting money out of those, then I think that would be a far superior system, like it used to be. In other words, something that actually gave value instead of there's just this fiat currency that means absolutely nothing except what you and I agree it means.
Right.
In fact, the most wealthy people out there are still buying gold, and they still doing their savings in gold, at least. We cannot do it that, of course, but because you need to have knowledge in that kind of market, because it's not just you have gold, then you need to go to sell the gold and then exchange for whatever you need. But the currency scam is one of the most profit scams out there for the bankers and all the royal people, and even the land. After all, they call real estate, and is that a way to say that part of the ground belong to the royalty?
Yeah.
It's interesting. Another thing that you reminded me, Bob, is that also this discussion is that in antiquity, in the work of Lucretius, he thinks about the value of things. And why in one age bronze was valued and the other age was gold, because both were kind of just as useless, actually valueless in many ways, right? It's just material. It's just stuff. And then he was talking about, his conclusion is that it was just fashion. People just decide that it was one thing and they decide to like it and they decide to value it. It was essentially what we're saying. That's what I'm saying. It was like people that looked into that in antiquity and like, why are people so carried away by these metals, right? And it's belief. It's very much the same discussion.
Exactly. Well, and it's like diamonds, the same thing. The marketing for them, the guy that's behind that, or the guys, I should say, the group of people behind it, are brilliant, because diamonds are common as dirt. I mean, they're rocks, literally, and they try and make them seem like there's a scarcity of them, and they only release so many into circulation every year. And of course, they're also used for industrial manufacturing, for cutting. There's purposes like that also. But when you get into the really, really pretty ones, they are all of a sudden worth, thousands, millions of dollars. It's unbelievable. So again, that's just brilliant marketing.
Rodrigo, isn't that the same as the tulip mania story of Dutch history? Haven't you heard that? The tulip craze that went on. I don't know. I've read that history.
I have. That probably did happen. I know that. I mean, tulips are huge here, and they come from Turkey, if I'm correct. But they really marketed here. And I mean, up north, I'm now in the south. I don't see many here, but there's many of these gardens that people see, and in the summer they'll be all over the place. And they export it.
Oh, no, there's like a
Holland,
story of the history of tulips, where way back, I don't remember when, that they had like some tulip
It became a
mania.
fad, like huge thing, right?
Right.
Yeah,
It was like a
I heard
tulip
about that.
bubble.
I don't know
and
the
there was-
details, but
Yeah, it was
I
like a
think you're
tulip
right.
bubble, and there was a whole bunch of investors that got involved that all lost their money because.
Yes, there was a
that?
collapse.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there was
I
a
heard about
collapse
that.
of the tulips. I don't remember what it was called. I thought it was called Tulip Mania or something, but I thought it wasn't in Holland, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Probably included, maybe depending on the time, we included parts of Belgium and stuff, because they kind of had their border changes.
But it was the
they
same kind of thing.
confused-
It was just because they were fashionable at the time, and then people, all
Right.
got on board with this whole Tulip Mania.
Right, that's the only reason to make it so big.
I remember reading about that in some book, but I haven't done research on that in a long time.
Yeah, Wendell just said, what did he, let me scroll back here. He just said, when the shit hits the fan, essentially, you'll be buying a loaf of bread with a brick of gold. And, that raises a really good point, because that's the whole thing. I mean, when, they start creating these artificial shortages and stuff like that, really, I think one of the most valuable things that you could have in your possession would be non-GMO, and I emphasize non-GMO seeds.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be worth more than gold, really, ultimately.
Sprouting,
if
sprouting
it
is
ever
a
gets
great
that
practice.
Right, because then
sprouting, sprouting lentils so easy, and it's super nutritious. And also lentils help you draft. We have like a little fig plant, and you can take twigs from a fig and make more figs with the lentils you make a mixture of the lentils that have been sprouted with water and a few other things, and that helps you take up roots. I mean, there's things like this that you can do as well to have not just fruit and edibles in your house, but to keep them going without having to be buying seeds.
Yeah.
And we don't learn about that in school. This is the one thing that's crazy for me. It drives me nuts, because when I was a little kid, we used to have a little garden, and that goes away, and then you just learn this technocratic stuff, and that the things that really sustaining your family and yourself, and nutrition, understanding of plants and so on, it's something you have to look elsewhere, and it's just atrocious what it is. It should be the main thing.
In terms of the seeds and things like that, I always recommend the people, because it's a free thing. You can download it and print it in 3D, or even build it, or even buy already built, which is the FarmBot. I don't know, Jeran, if you want to, open a browser and type FarmBot, because it's really nice in terms
FarmBot?
FarmBot.
Okay.
I thought he said Fembot. It's like, oh,
no,
$4 man.
And this time I'm trying to pronounce a little better than the other shows, man. Please.
I'm just messing with you, that's all.
It's like an irrigation system that it's almost like a print. It's like a 3D printer kind of thing in a rail.
No, it's made for for regular people. If you want to, you can download it, the CAD files, and print your own FarmBot, or you can buy it already made up. But the nice thing is has Arduino, and you can put the size and the measure of your place to put the seeds, and the software has the information about every seed. So the software know how much water that seed needs,
how
how
much
many
space in
times
between?
even. What?
Like how much space in between each seed? I'm make it play the video at the beginning of the web page, and you are going to see all the
it's really
functionality.
amazing.
It's amazing because something that for me, and I'm going to try to explain
but
in
how much
English,
is
but
something
for
like
me,
this? Really
I
expensive,
really
huh?
like be outside and have a garden and things like that, but I don't have the ability to expend a lot of time, for getting my food if it's not super necessary.
Right.
Okay. I mean, so if you can have these kind of things where you have a friend, in this case is a bot, to take care about that and leave you to you with time to do the things that you like, or maybe you need to, in this case, make this kind of research to present
So it's open
in your
source,
YouTube
but,
channel, whatever.
So it's open source,
it's
but it
very
costs
nice.
a lot. Oh,
What?
I see that the software is open source, but I mean, to build this would be expensive. I'm taking it. No.
No,
Well,
it's
yeah.
around $2,000.
Yeah,
If you want to buy it,
$2,000, yeah.
if you want to buy it
I'm
already
missing it.
done, okay?
With the tray and everything on it,
When
ready to
everything,
go.
everything, yeah, everything.
Should we watch the video? Wanna see it?
Okay.
There's
play.
different ones. There's different
For
ones
the
and
last 3.5
come in different.
years, we introduced FarmBot Genesis, Genesis XL, FarmBot Express, and Express XL. These kits have been used by thousands of students, small families, and scientists across the globe, laying the foundation
No,
of the
not-
open
I can't do it.
food future. And because of our continued focus on 100% open source software development and hardware design, we now have all the pieces in place to push FarmBot to an even bigger
That's
scale.
insanity.
It's time for FarmBot Express and Genesis Max. Measuring 2.4 meters wide and 18 meters in length, FarmBot Express Max covers 3 times the area of Express XL and 12 times the area of our smallest FarmBot. Coming 95% pre-assembled in the box, Express Max can be set up in just 1 hour and delivers the lowest cost per area of robotic farming in our lineup. It's perfect for modernizing and automating existing commercial raised beds. Meanwhile, at 3 meters wide and 18 meters long, Genesis Max is by far our largest FarmBot ever, covering a massive 54 square meters. With interchangeable tooling, our most advanced electronics board, and built-in rotary encoders, Genesis Max is our top-of-the-line, fully customizable kit, suitable for cutting-edge research and production. Because of their enormous scale, both Express Max and Genesis Max cover more area per dollar than any FarmBots before them. In fact, when compared to our very first FarmBot launched in 2016, these new devices are up to 9 times more cost-effective.
Wow, I wish I was rich.
Yeah, 2,000 is a bit of money too. But I guess what they're trying to tell you in the website is that it will pay off because you have to go to the store and buy vegetables anyway. And if you look it up, what they're trying to say, to sell their
Well, it's
products
like you
that
said. It's like you said. It's if you needed to do this, that makes a difference. Than
Exactly.
Than if you don't.
no,
need to.
but they're saying here, if you go to the bottom, like in the page you take a look, I looked at it a little bit. It says costs because I was trying to look how much it costs, but there was something else. It was about how much it costs just to go to the supermarket and buy all the vegetables and la.
No, it's
And
true. It
then
is expensive. I've
if-
never taken account of because we go, especially during the summer, starting here in March or April. We go to the farmer's market every week. I buy
So
from
it's
the
cheap.
same guy.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say it's cheap.
Yeah, it's great.
It's not cheap though. I mean,
It's better
Right.
food though.
It is
Typically,
better.
it's-
Oh, yeah,
it's
yeah.
way better.
No, I love it too
It's-
that we get some eggs from a guy that has his farm here in Merced, and
Mm-hmm.
all the chickens eat everything that he sells only. So
Right.
he sells carrots and cabbage and lettuce, and it's a great place to go. And he shows that they don't use any equipment, they don't use any GMO seeds, obviously all that stuff.
Nice.
But it's great that there's no equipment
Yeah.
used. It's his family's run farm, and then he
The
brings all
best
that
thing
stuff
is when
to
you
the-
know, like what you're doing is ideal. Like a lot of people have talked about this. I think that it might even way back for me that if you know who's growing your food, I mean,
Right.
that's ideal.
But
I
in
mean, that's great.
Switzerland, you have that kind of you have that kind of situation because, for example, when you go to the supermarket in Switzerland, you have a special and of course there is in German and other places, but you have this kind a special place in the supermarket when you have not just bio food, but also with the
Local.
face and the local.
Right, so
you
different.
have in the package you have the face and the contact phone number and things and the name and the surname of the
Owner.
guy who ran the farm. So you can go and check for yourself. Of course, the price is a double of the standard prices for the
If
rest
not-
of
if
the
not more.
industrial food.
I mean,
Or-
sure,
or-
I
right.
can go buy eggs for you can go to some cheap market and find eggs for $1.99 a dozen or something. And when I buy them from this guy, they're like $8 a dozen. but you know, it makes a big
You
difference.
need to, yeah, but that is a red
Much
flag.
more
I mean,
nutritious.
what am I buying?
Right,
For
exactly.
$1.
For $1, what am I
That's
getting?
the thing.
No, they
That's
even
right.
show what they do with those. You know, they
My
put the
goodness.
chickens in like a big warehouse, and they turn off and on the lights every hour, and then the chickens think
okay.
that that's like a day, so they're pumping out like
Plus the
eight,
hormones and
eight
all the
eggs a
other
day. Right. It's
No,
just
they
ridiculous.
cut their beaks off so they don't beak. It's torture, man. It's horrible.
torture.
I can't
It's
even watch
terrible.
that stuff. It makes me sick. To
Oh, me
see
too. I
some of
can't
this
stand
stuff.
some of that stuff.
If
so.
you want to go, I mean, I don't recommend, but I recommend at the same time this thing called Earthlings, a film. If you've ever seen it, I'm not sure you've seen it, Iru. It's the one. It's a
I
one-time.
see a lot of those documentary. I've been a while vegetarian, and then for extra reasons, I get back to
Argentinian reasons, barbecue Argentinian reasons. I changed my mind.
No. It was my girlfriend at that time that start to complain about, you cook for yourself, and doesn't matter. The fact is, I get back to eat meat, but of course, in the past year, I really low down the amount of meat that I eat, and I start thinking and understand what happened behind the meat, the animal exploitation industry.
Yeah.
So I try to change. Of course, here it's a little difficult too. I am not saying that no, I cannot change because this is difficult. No. I take my responsibility on that topic. But yeah, it's a very, for me at least, it's something that we need to trying to understand it and maybe change it.
Yeah, this kind of stuff is important, this kind of home farming. And I was wondering if you, Ido, as well, and Jaron, because and Bob probably, I'm not sure how it is in Colorado, but for Jaron, shouldn't it be easy for you to grow lots of vegetables in just not so much of a garden? Because we did in Brazil, we used to grow, I mean, arugula that was insane. It grew like almost like a meter high, and it was so good. It was crazy, and it was a lot of it, and it was not hard.
This year,
like it's something like
this year we did tomatoes and cucumbers and squash, which were great. I mean, that kept us in. We had about 3 different types of tomatoes that were growing out there. The cucumbers, there was like 2 different types. One, a small like pickling cucumber, and then some long ones. But it kept us fine. But I mean, everything else that we needed to buy, we bought from the farmer's market. So carrots, lettuce, things like that. We bought from the farm. Eggs, beans.
Did you enjoy doing it, the gardening? Because for me, that's the thing with the plants. Like, it's more of a quality time.
Yeah, no, we loved it. I mean, we did it every morning. It was kind of part of our morning routine. It just sucked, because the winter came, and then all of a sudden you see everything kind of die in front of you. I'm not sure if we the
you
plant
take the lattice and say, no, please, lattice, don't die.
don't die. And I'm not sure. It doesn't look like some of that stuff is coming back. So I'm not sure if we'd have to replant this year. We haven't really talked about what we're going to do. But during the winter here, during the summer, it's fantastic, and we have such great sun here, and it's so hot. And we just took it every morning. We went out there and watered, and that was it.
Are the seeds that you buy from the stores these days, I mean, are they the kinds that, I forgot what the term is, perennial or something like that, where you have to, completely get new seeds and they won't regerminate themselves?
It depends, yeah. Some of the different, I don't know how to get seeds. I mean, I would be lying if I told you I know how to get seeds from the current crop. I think that, Owen does that really well. But as far as like our tomatoes, you mean like taking the seeds out and then replanting those seeds this year?
Mm-hmm. Right.
See, we didn't do that because our tomatoes are done so what would you have to do? Would you save the seeds? We didn't do any of that.
Some.
So, and we did buy last year from a site that, guaranteed non-GMO seeds.
You can always keep a nursery, that's some people we met here that had a bunch of things nursing in their homes. They were sprouting all over the place, and I think they had plants for the spring. And in your place, I think, think about getting maybe a fruit tree. A fig, it's amazing. I love figs. It becomes the most amazing tree. It smells. You can make tea with the leaves, and the fruit is just insane. I mean,
this is our first year doing it, and so I can't say I know. Our beds look about like this one. And we have 2, next to each other like this that are built almost the exact same. Only we used bricks. There's bricks stacked on top of each other with all the soil inside there, and then we have a bunch of potted tomato plants around. But then we had one bed that was basically all tomatoes, and then the other bed was half cucumbers, half squash. And it did good for the summer, and it didn't. The great thing was that the only cost that went into it, I think it cost us like $95 to build both beds and fill them with soil. So then this year the cost would only be the seeds, and then if we probably have to add a little bit of soil in there, because it's kind of lower after the winter. But
do you buy like potting soil, or do you just use the dirt in your backyard?
No. We went and bought organic soil.
Okay, that's probably a good idea, because a lot of problems that are cropping up, pardon the pun, is because of the chem spraying and the heavy aluminums and the heavy metals that are coming down, and they're getting into the soil. And so, of course, Monsanto is now releasing seeds that are resistant to aluminum and barium. It's like
great,
unbelievable. So it just makes you wonder, to what level we're going to have to go to even be able to grow our own food.
Yeah.
I'm going to share my screen a little bit very quickly, my first share screen, and now is when the shows go really
south.
To the
viral.
Yeah. Oh, viral?
Yeah.
I thought
virally south.
I thought it was to the shitter.
No, because we are talking about food and plants and all this stuff. Let me know if I'm presenting.
You are.
Is it Germanic medicine?
Okay. Yeah. No, but something that, because here in my old
I wanted
file,
to show you something about that. I saw some thing saying how dangerous MMS is. I saw an article.
Oh yeah, no, you can imagine, man. I drink all day, but
you're dying.
Tomorrow I'm gonna die.
Probably.
Probably, yeah. For an asteroid.
Asteroid.
Probably, it's coming.
Sure.
Watch out.
There you go.
This is something that I came across like 3 years ago, where I'm start looking in this farm boat, and there is I have the book and I can share with the people that is interested. But this is a Mexican guy living in Valle of Santiago, Vale of Santiago, and the guy, I don't say to create, but discovered a way to produce giant vegetables. But when I say giant, I mean giant.
Huge.
Like,
in Alaska, they do it, eh?
Huge. And he explained, because a French people came from Europe to visit the guy, because the guy couldn't even believe it, the size of the food
what kind of
that
food?
This guy create. Every food out there. I'm gonna give me a time. For example, this is an onion, but you are looking into the book page, so you don't have the
scale
to compare. But look at that.
There it is, a carrot.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Wow.
But this is for real. I mean, this is not. Look at that. And
how is he doing it? You do?
Well, I never read the book because it's in French, and I cannot understand French. I
Can
don't
you
know
imagine
how to pronounce it.
an artichoke
Have
that
you
big?
seen? Have you seen how they do it in Alaska? Because they have a custom of doing that there. They grow they have like world records of cabbages, and it's kind of like that as well. And they say that some people have their techniques that they talk about in the irrigation, but the big secret there is that there's a 24-hour sun, right, up in Alaska.
Well, this is not the case, I believe. Well, it's in Spanish, this video, but for example, this, I don't know which is the name of this in English.
Cabbage, maybe?
Yeah, I'm going to say yes because I didn't know exactly.
Is it repollo?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yes.
Cabbage.
Yeah. Okay. But look at that. This is we call this
beets.
Yes. Look at the size, man. Look at the size of that. With only one of that, you can eat like a complete family. Look at the face of the guy.
He comes
Look at the
running
guy
over.
in the background. He came super happy to film that. I mean,
wow, holy Toledo. One way I know that they do that is from what I've seen on some of them, but this is mostly in hydroponic applications, is they give the plants their own CO2 feed. And that seems to really, really, boost the size of the yield.
It was bad for them, for everything, Bob. CO2, isn't that?
Not for plants.
Like 4 kilograms.
Wow.
It's like a 4 kilograms.
That's right.
You know,
I think wasn't there also like a place where they grow like a crazy amount of tomatoes by in these greenhouses that are pumped with CO2? I think I seen this like walls of tomatoes, these massive tomatoes.
Yeah, but this is outdoor
Outside.
gardening.
Outdoor.
You know, this is not like a special thing that you need to.
He's just
look at the
technique.
size of
That's
that
it.
thing.
Holy
Man.
smokes.
It's amazing. It's
It has a
amazing.
lot of vitamin C. This is one of the best vitamin C sources.
And this is the guy behind this technique. And let me just go a little more.
Where is this?
forward.
Where is this?
This is in Mexico. And the book itself, and maybe I can share the book, of course. I don't have any problem. This is the book where the guy explained how you can create these amazing vegetables. Because it's a really amazing thing. It's a book about it has 100 pages, and it's in French. You know, I mean, I cannot read. I assume maybe in our days we have some kind of translated thing, but the size of the fruits and the vegetables is amazing. 45 kilograms.
That's incredible. Oh, you know what? Cammie just mentioned something in chat that I forgot about. We were watching. I think it was either Ken Wheeler or some special we were watching. But it turns out that if you expose seeds to strong southern magnetic pole field, it causes the yield to be much, much bigger plants.
Interesting.
Which is really interesting.
And in fact, with all these kind of techniques, maybe, you know, the idea that supposedly in the past we have more oxygen, so that is why the things are was more biggest, you know, because the access to the oxygen. Well, maybe it's not something that it has to be related exactly like, you know, a straight line between oxygen and the size of the fruits and the trees. Right. Maybe there is something more to do with the magnetic fields and other kind of fields, if you want to know, you know, electricity or something like that.
I think it is interesting in itself that things can grow so big just by treating them, because that also goes against the kind of evolution sort of story. That because you can, they look way beyond the size, and we know that this is the case with corn. That was a kind of grass that people manipulated, made it grow by selecting the larger seeds over time. Mm-hmm. But, you know, what we see is that there's possibilities for like giant vegetables, right? That seem to be, you know, fit for creatures that are way bigger at some point.
Yeah, the guy talks about a lot of the Mayan culture, ancient culture, and how they do the same thing with the fruits and things like that. So it must be a really interesting book to read and know what's going on behind this. But like I mentioned before, this is for real. I mean,
it'd be great to get an English version and see what exactly. I am Lone Frog sent a super chat. He says, "Effie gardening, yes, that's what I'm talking about." Yeah, no, it's
yeah.
One
We
of the
know
biggest...
that for instance, it's known that the Aztecs, they had a system called the Chinampas, and they had a whole class of people that were just their whole lives they had to take care of these Chinampas, and they were like these islands of the river silt. That they would grab the silt from the bottom of the river, make the island, and grow rice on it. But they also collected human waste in public. So their public toilets in their city, they had 1 million inhabitants, Tenochtitlan, which is the city of Mexico now. They would have these places where you go and do your business, and that was taken to the Chinampas to fertilize.
That was the fertilization?
That was also part of it. But they had really strange food, like they had cakes of mosquito eggs. So I mean, there's
what a shitty job that would be.
Collecting the shit. Yeah, good. But they were able to get. It's known. I mentioned this because it's known as an example of highly intensified agriculture, where you're able to get 4 or 5 yields a year with the system, because they had to sustain 1 million people in their city. So they were able to do that way with intensified agriculture. And they were destroyed by the Spanish. They didn't collapse because of their own fault, the economic collapse.
I would just love to taste these things, because I'm wondering if the taste is is bitter. You know, sometimes if things grow too big, when we were first growing our cucumbers, we didn't know what we were doing, and some of the cucumbers got way too big, and then they were terribly bitter.
Really?
I'm start thinking what Monsanto thinks about this guy.
Right.
You know, I mean,
They're probably developing a way to kill his crops as we speak.
Yeah, man, because with this kind of technique, we can erase the hunger in the world in 2 hours.
Absolutely.
Yeah, people have talked about
look at the size of the corn. Or well, I don't know what is this, but this is like we live in Tartaria. You know?
Do you guys get a lot of artichokes over there?
I love artichokes.
Yeah.
A lot of jokes about what?
No, artichokes. Alcachofra. Alcachofra.
Alcachofa. Yeah, we have.
Carciofi in Italian.
Are they very expensive?
Yes.
No, not here.
No, here in Argentina, yes, they are expensive. For example, the aguacate, the
avocado.
Yeah, the avocado here is also very expensive.
How much in English dollars?
In English dollar, it's about like $3 per unit.
Each one, okay.
Whoa, one avocado, $3.
Hey, Hiro, what's the title of this book again? We got some people in the chat wondering what the title
it's
of the book
called. And I'm going to put a free link in my Patreon, so anyone who wants to download the PDF, you can go there and download it. So I'm gonna put there to share. The name is this one. It's L'homme qui parle avec les plantes. El hombre que the man who talks with the plant.
Speaks with the plants. Maybe he speaks the plants into growing. If that's the case,
maybe they just ask to the plant, you know.
Please grow big.
Because that's something that kind of practice. For example, Jeran said that he wake up every morning and became a practice to go outside in the garden and you know put some water on the plant. But we never talk with the plants.
No, I don't talk with them. Maybe that's what I need to add.
Exactly. You need to start.
Well, it's
talking
like the
about
whole rice experiment we talked about.
That,
yeah, maybe they want to know about that.
Like saying seriously.
Well, the rice experiment is absolutely true, and I challenge anybody to do that experiment. And if you do it for yourself and you really believe in it, you'll be shocked with the results. And I think the same thing happens with.
You know who that didn't work for, Jaron?
Who?
It wouldn't work for Zach. That's why they call him Zachary Too Nice for Rice Zabala. He couldn't yell at the rice and make it turn black.
He's too nice to.
No.
Yeah, too nice for rice.
Even too nice for rice. That's awesome.
Well, I mean, that's what's incredible. And then they've also done studies of like same thing with growing plants, right? If you take a plant and you are very nice to it and you talk sweetness to it. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll do that experiment this year. You just get 2 plants and talk to one and yell at the other and then see how they grow.
No, but those things are real.
You are
that's
become
going
like
on.
a god yelling
No,
to
the
one
thing is
plant
like
and become nice with the other
it's
one.
Very rude
I mean,
to yell at the plant. But
it's very disturbing. You know,
I think there's no way around. Yeah, I think there's no way around the fact that these things are alive and they're growing and they're resonant, and their growth has to do with the kind of you may call it frequencies or the electromagnetism or whatever, which is coming out of us.
And here's the problem with science, right?
We are emitting this stuff.
This is the problem with science: is that science will never ever admit that. Because why? Because they can't control it. You can't do an experiment because how do you calculate how much love you're giving something or how much hate you give something?
Oh, you are become a very bad scientist right now.
Exactly.
You can't do that.
You know, this all goes back to a scientist by the name of Cleve Baxter. And Cleve Baxter was the guy that originally put a polygraph machine onto plants and, would do intentions like, visualize or talk about burning the leaves.
The Secret Life of Plants. Is that what it is?
I don't know if it was that book or not, but Cleve Baxter, like I said, he's the one that hooked it up to it. And it was crazy because all he would have to do is speak ill of them or even have an intention like he was going to burn it. And the plants would just make that polygraph machine go all over the place, man.
Wow.
They reacted massively.
This is the kind of stuff that is hidden from us. This is exactly what they, do not want people talking about or discussing, and that's why science has to step in and say, well, no, that can't possibly be true. You can't possibly change a plant's growth with your emotions. You can't possibly make rice, mold faster or make it stay longer until you do it yourself. It's the only way to do it. And again, you can't. I've had people ask me, why don't you do a video showing it? It's because if I do that video, people will just say I'm faking it. because I can't show you. Yeah, exactly. So what is the point? And anybody I tell to do that, you have to really do it. You have to actually wake up every day. You have to have your alarm on your phone to tell you it's 8 o'clock, and you go and you take one specific bowl of rice and you talk really sweet to it, and you have to actually show it love. You can't just tell I don't know, Flat Earth Math to do that, because he's not going to really try that. He's not going to really go and do that. He's not going to really talk with love, because why? Because they already don't believe it. And if you already don't believe it, then you're not going to get the results that you're looking for. But that is what we're trying to say, is that if you believe it and you speak to these plants and you give them love, if you really believe that, that's what happens. It manifests.
Exactly, and that's why belief is such an important, ingredient in anything.
Right.
I mean, the placebo effect is a classic example of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can call intention even better, probably better than belief, because that's a little bit more.
Intention.
You know what I mean?
No, yeah, you have to have the intention.
Yeah, I mean, you
have to want
believe
to
it and you
grow.
have the intention because you believe. Those things are kind of meddled into the same kind of stuff that's going on, right? It's not the word itself. I'm just pointing that out.
But I will tell anybody, if you go and do that, if you actually have the
that.
intention and you have the feeling and you do that, I would dare somebody to do it and tell me that the opposite results happen, because I can't imagine it. It would be impossible to see.
We had an event recently where we had this fig from last year that was outside. We thought it was completely dead. It was outside for the winter. We neglected it. It was just a stick. We put it in our bedroom, and then suddenly it just had 5-6 branches, and poof, it just erupted. And one thing is crazy that I know about tobacco. You should look that up at some point. Like tobacco plant, it's able to, when a caterpillar. This is how plants, explain this. When a caterpillar comes onto a tobacco plant, some of these tobacco plants from the deserts in the States, they're able to secrete a kind of sugar that has a chemical signature that will highlight that caterpillar to a bird and call a bird to go catch that caterpillar off its stem. And they can decide to fruit or not to fruit depending on the situation. It's weird, man. And they communicate with their roots as well. There's lots going on. There's some protection that happens. It's stuff that people are finding out. The canopies, there's like some whole other kind of world above the canopies of trees, how some trees actually are symbiotic with other trees. And then under that, you have the substrate of mycelia. So it's like and the mycelia is highly electromagnetic or something, feeds off of it, right? Mushrooms, you don't even need sun for it. It catches the ether or something. It's weird. It's like the substrate of, I don't know how you explain, but it's so amazing, right? When you think about it, it's all this stuff is out there. And then people, instead of studying this stuff and looking into it, they're kind of locked into those boxes and, told to produce and go get the paper money and stuff. And we can't really avoid it. We can do our best, but we're trying.
I pasted in the chat section the link to access to the free PDF version of the book. So anyone who wants to download it, there you have the link to do it. Nice.
Thanks, Hiro.
A pleasure, man.
Yep, and Adobe, at least I know the professional versions. I'm not sure about the Reader, but the professional versions of Adobe, I know for sure, have a translator in it that will convert it. But not sure about Reader.
No, but that was really, I mean, the man who talks with the plants and it's like that is his secret. I mean, maybe talk with the plants and asking the plants to grow more biggest, whatever.
This just reminded me of, there's also an old lady in Scotland. I think she's over 100 now, and she talks to her plants as well. And she has some crazy garden there. There's
well, the voice is a vibration, so.
Right. I mean, it's definitely going on in the plants. I was just wondering if Bob, if you look into this stuff with mycelia, and if in electricity or anything like that, and electromagnetic fields and so on.
Oh yeah, There's
look
definitely a relationship.
Thing, man. Sorry, guys.
That's big.
Cucumber.
It's amazing, man. It's amazing.
I wonder if it's
the most amazing thing is that it's for real. I mean, it's not even like CGI thing. I mean, wow. That's crazy thing. Sorry.
That's great. Yeah, no problem. I was just going to say, on that topic, Rodrigo, I'm kind of, depending on what happens, whether or not I get a response from Steve and Ross at Space Busters, if they want to come on Globebuster Sunday, it will be them, and we'll be covering the 5G and also their, the finale to their Comets Cataclysms stuff. But if not, I was thinking that I would do it on cymatics and also how that could be manifesting through the ether and that. So that's kind of what I'm going back and forth. But either way, I'm going to get to it. We'll cover it on Globebusters.
Mm-hmm. And you think mycelia have something to do with this as well? They're connected to it. Have to be, right?
I think it's a very, very possible, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just fascinating.
Wow, look at that.
It's amazing, man. I want to have one in my hands and try to cook.
If I can grow one tomato like that, man, I'm set for a month.
Yeah.
I know.
It's amazing. Man. It's amazing. And in fact, I completely forget about this topic. I mean, I have in my computer and I share a lot of times with the Spanish community in my old YouTube channel, the one who was deleted. And I really take out of my mind this kind of thing.
Yeah, that's so
and,
funny.
And even I forget that I have the PDF book because someone sent to me at that time, like 2 years ago, something like that. So amazing topic.
What is that? A cucumber?
Cucumber,
yeah, exactly.
What the hell?
Must be 20.
And this is a pepino or a black egg, or something like that.
Kind of like a giant
eggplant. You mean
eggplant? No, black egg. Sorry, eggplant.
It almost looked like a giant deformed green pepper, sort of. The way the outside of it was formed. I love green peppers; they're one of my favorites.
What is that?
You like the green ones? They're a little bit more bitter. I like it too. You like it raw
my
or
only thing is
cooked?
I would need to look at that
raw.
I would need to taste that because I just have this feeling that it would be terribly bitter. But again, I could be completely wrong.
I imagine some kind of Avatar movie fruit thing, something like that. It came to my mind when I see this kind of size.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, that will be a nice. I really start, counting down the moment where some flat earther, after seeing this show, came with some kind of fruit or vegetable.
You're gonna win a cucumber. I'm sure you're gonna win a big cucumber at some point.
Could be, yeah.
But don't they have? Don't you have friends in Mexico?
I have friends in Mexico. Yeah. I have
and
a lot of friends
like flat earthers in Mexico and stuff. Like you could even visit.
There is a lot of man. There is, and yesterday I really late in the morning, but I give like a live show, presenting the flat Earth for the first time in national radio on Peru.
Hey, Eric, don't change that page. Is that right there where you have your cursor? Is that a freaking cucumber?
No.
That's fake. That has to be fake.
Oh, I was going to say, oh my God.
This came from NASA. This is a NASA.
You can make a seat. You can have a table, cucumber table or something.
Okay.
And everybody just dig in with spoons.
This is for real, man. This is for real.
Oh, man.
Wow.
You should take a look at some point.
The LGTB community could be very happy with this kind of fruits, man. Sorry for commenting that, man, but
What's the lady holding in the lower left there? Is that corn?
This
left, yes. A la izquierda.
No, not the corn. It's
it looks like they say it's a cucumber on the what's under there.
So many different kinds of cucumbers.
Cucumber, yeah.
Giant
cucumber.
What is the?
It's a different kind.
Spanish
has a different
for
outside.
Cucumbers, pepino.
Pepino, yeah. That's the name in Spanish.
Cucumber.
What is?
I should take a look at some point the Alaskan vegetables as well. I don't know what's the tag. Not sure they're talking to them, but they have this custom of there's shows on the biggest vegetables, giant, and there you go, like.
I saw this a few times in documentaries and things like that.
But I think that's just it is. Some people say that techniques, but they have the sun, right? So that really helps. I think that they don't stop growing. But yeah,
And
that's
of
the
course,
thing
it
there.
could be a combination of some, many factors. Maybe the sun, maybe the water, and
Yeah, but what is odd about the case you're showing is that, like in Mexico, you don't get those environmental conditions with the sun all the time. So this guy's doing something really special. That's if he's just talking to the plants.
That's insane.
That's
If
amazing.
that's all he's doing is just talking to them.
Is it? Do
Yeah,
you think it's?
I mean, that's
I don't know.
the
I'd have to read
title
the book.
of the French journalist that produced the book, because someone else produced the book, because
Although
this
he
guy
was
is a
growing all those
really
in the field
ordinary
out there.
guy, poor guy, things like that. So he never even, if you understand Spanish, when you just listen the guy talking with the camera, and I mean this interview, he's a very kind man without any kind of ambitious purposes or nothing like that. He's like, he discovered something, he applied it, and well, there you have the result.
But he's speaking Spanish here, you.
Yeah, right now.
7 kilos en el tamaño del rabo. Esto es sabiéndolas cómo trabajarlas. Crecen tan grandes como cuando son de una sola.
Very giant.
Entonces estas producciones se van sobre 200 toneladas por hectárea.
200 tons per hectare. I don't know how to pronounce hectare.
Yeah. 200 tons per hectare.
Yeah,
hectare. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like a pretty good number there.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous. And the only thing I would want to do, anybody, please invite me to eat one of these, because the only thing I would have to say is
that's a question.
So
That's a big
close
question.
to Mexico.
Yeah, I'll just come
Is
down there.
Is it good? That's your question, right, Jaron? You think the taste probably?
Yeah, because I mean, the cucumbers that we grew this year, we had to pull them at a certain point. You can't just leave them on there, because they'll keep getting bigger, especially if you keep watering. They'll get huge. But we thought it was good to grow. Look, we're growing these huge cucumbers, but the ones that grew big were full of seeds and were terribly bitter.
Right.
So
they
we
get
kinda,
harder or something, thicker skin. And,
yeah, they just were gross. So I mean,
well, those are the ones you leave to have more cucumbers next year. Catch those seeds, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, see, I don't know what you do with those seeds, though. I guess you would probably have to take them in, dry them off, and then save them till the following year. This is my first year ever growing, so we didn't really look into doing anything like that. We just figured, because, when you order this, we got these packets of seeds off online, and they were cheap. I mean, like $3 for a packet of tomato seeds, right? But the amount of tomato seeds in that packet are like 200. So, I mean, we only...
More than you need?
Yeah, we only planted maybe 15, 20, 25. But... the problem with it is they're also dated for the year, so I'm not sure. I think that we'd rather than plant those old seeds this year, I'll probably buy a new batch. I'll just go and buy another $3 bag. I mean, that just what better deal is there than that than to plant buy $3 seeds and then have tomatoes for the entire summer. That's great. Like we didn't buy any tomatoes from the farmers market this year, or any cucumbers or any squash because we were growing all that. Now we'll probably try and add something this year. Like you said, fruit trees would be awesome, but those take forever. I would love to have peaches. I would love to have apples, but those would take forever, and I don't even know where you would buy fully grown ones. But
yeah, they're able to make them fruit
self-sustain.
out of a vase, but it has to be, even banana. But it takes some care, and you got to know what you're doing, or you got to graft off. Like if you graft a branch of fig, if you find a fig that's in heavy fruit,
you have to just let them sit in the ground.
You graft. You take the branch of a fig that already has fruit, is going to give you fruit the next season when it grows. But it's probably not going to be a lot, but it will give fruit. There's a lot on that. The most amazing thing, one of the most amazing things is grafting. How you can connect.
That's insane.
You get one tree and you connect different kinds of fruit to the different branches, and it grows different fruits on the same tree and flowers.
It's insanity. I didn't believe it when I first saw it, and then there was a guy out at a market here that had the tree, or not at a market, at a nursery, where he basically grafted a peach and then grafted a plum, and they were all growing off the same tree.
It's pretty amazing stuff.
It's insanity.
There's a guy that's in some university, you can find it online. He has a whole garden of that grafted plums, like different varieties in a single tree and so on. So people go crazy with but imagine that if that was a practice that people would do just off in the street instead of just ornamental trees, that you'd be doing this kind of stuff and learning how to do it. That's what actually ended up happening in Cuba, because they're prevented from getting food from other places. They're going to have a huge food crisis. So then they had to turn to permaculture. So now they have some of the best experts there because they had to, otherwise they're going to die. So they had to grow fruit everywhere.
Yeah, there's one I'm reading here. There's a tree of 40 fruit is one of a series of fruit trees created by a New York artist using the technique of grafting. Each tree produces 40 types of stone fruit, prunes. It grows all kinds of different prunes, plums, peaches, apricots, nectarines, cherries, all in the same tree.
Oh my God.
That's insanity that works.
That works, yeah. It's some crazy stuff. Who knows? I mean, imagine if you put, I mean, that's why people try to transplant stuff, right? As well. That's why it's called transplant, probably, when people do that in humans. But they probably got the idea from plants, but it's not the same. I don't know, but yeah.
And the
farm bot is amazing.
That's amazing. But again, I mean, it didn't. I'm just looking at it from a cost perspective. I mean, it wasn't that hard to go out and water my plants every day. And also, what we eventually bought was, those soaker hoses. You can buy them for like a few bucks for a certain.
With the holes to irrigate.
Yeah. So we just ran in each of our beds that are about as big as this bed on here. Well, maybe a third of that size or 2/3, but we ran a soaker hose through it and just connected it with like little prongs, and then basically every day when we go out to water, we would just plug the hose into that soaker hose and run that for 5 minutes and then switch it to the other bed, and we would it would do all the watering. So it basically watered like that, but as far as that's probably putting as much water as each plant needs.
Right, it's like dose perfectly and They probably have a bunch of, so never have to worry about it. I guess that's the idea. Hopefully, if it breaks, then you're dead.
And that's doing its own seeding. That's insanity.
Yeah, it does everything.
Yeah. And remember that this is for free. I mean, if you want to buy it,
the program is free.
Well, you pay it. But if you want to, you can download the free blueprint
software
and print yourself and use the software yourself. And do everything yourself. Wow. I mean,
but
you want to have the cost of the materials because
you're still
it's made
have to
of
pay
plastic.
For the tracks and stuff like that. And that can get wet. Yeah. That's crazy to me that it would be able to be rained on and still work well if it's able to do that.
Yeah, you have these different head sensors. That are interchangeable. I don't know how to pronounce. Sorry,
They're
guys.
changeable. Like you can change different kinds.
Because one of those, of course, you control via cell phone, whatever. And you have the one who take care about the soil humidity,
the pH,
like that. The pH. Then you have the other one who pick up the seeds and put into the ground. You have the software pre-programming.
What do you want
program?
Where?
Where it's gonna tell you about the size, the kind of temperature that you need, the time you need to wait to get the first
batch of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But it's for at the first glance, it's for free. You're going to install yourself, pay the plastic, use a 3D printer, and download the software, which is free, and build it.
Yeah, that's crazy. It can take rain. I would expect it to rust and everything else.
But the machines take care to change the heads and do their work. And of course, like you say, Gerard, it's of course you can say it's more easy for me to go outside and do my from my own. Wow. But this is the case where you maybe have the opportunity to have 5, 6, 7 of these, and just use the time for other things.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And still get your own food.
Right.
Yeah, it can be totally, if you can
it's
get
powered by a solar panel.
Yeah, it seems to be simple once you put it in.
It's not solar powered though, is it? I'm sure it takes electricity.
No, well, here it's at the site. If you here is via electricity, but sometimes you see this. Let me rewind a little bit.
You know, because they have remote control cars on Mars. So
yeah. Here
it's as big as a car.
You can see.
Oh, there we go.
I don't know if this. I don't know exactly if these 2 solar panels are for this
the machine.
Okay.
Maybe it's for other thing. But
I didn't get one thing. So you said you 3D print every single piece of this, or you have to buy some things from there?
No, supposedly you can because the most difficult thing is the head, this plastic head. That is the important piece inside of this robotic farm. So maybe this kind of these kind of rails you buy it. Yeah, the rails you buy it in Walmart. But this is the key is this part.
That's the thing.
Because that's the thing who that take the seeds and put into the ground, had the other equipment to measure the soil and things like that. So they give you all the instructions to build your own farm boat.
Hey Rodrigo, this is the kind of stuff that Mike Cavanaugh does, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
he makes machines like this and actually has all the contracts for and stuff. And I wonder if he could actually get a hold of one of these. That'd be kind of cool. I bet he could.
Oh yeah.
He could certainly build one.
Oh yeah, I think he could. Absolutely.
And in fact, I believe here you have like because when I start to look into this was a really long time ago, but I believe there is out there a lot of people that start putting some new information. Maybe this is, for example, a 31-minute video. So maybe here you're gonna have, and this is in English too. So maybe here you have all the complete guide to build your own farm boat. And here you can see how this is 3D printed. You can see all the scratches and irregularities of the surface. Yeah. So
it's really cool.
Here you have all the real-time event thing.
Right.
So how drop the water.
You've probably seen it as well, Edu. It reminded me of something. It's slightly simpler, but it is also quite nice to have, depending where you have it, which is those honey places that it's like a little house, and the bees come in, and then they start building their hives in there, and then at one point you just do one lever, you go crack, and it cuts through all the hives, and you collect like 3-4 liters of honey.
Wow, that's.
Yeah, and it's a little hutch that you put in your garden.
No.
Sorry?
You paid to the bees?
You paid the bees to do it? No, the bees just come and do it for you. No, the bees are just out in the environment, yeah. So, I mean, I guess the bees have to, I wonder how they move in, but once they move into your thing, then you just get a supply of honey. What is the difference is they don't have to collect it on the hive, and there's like it's kind of like this. It's quite easy. After they built, you just press the thing. It's fantastic.
The thing about this that baffles me though is that all my plants grew taller than that machine. So
it has to get around it somehow.
Yeah, and if it's like dropping down to water, you'd have to tell it. No, my plants are taller than that. I mean, my tomato plants. And maybe it's just because Dave Weiss gave me some advice about how to, basically we went to the dollar store and they have like bundles of bamboo sticks. And we just built like almost a trellis for everything to grow on. And
so they can go up, yeah.
Right, as the tomatoes grew up, we would hang one branch over the trellis. Within a couple of weeks, it'd be over the next one, and you just keep getting higher and higher. They grew about 4 foot tall, same thing with the cucumbers.
Right.
So this thing is not 4 foot tall at all.
Right. So
no, but I assume this is one of the first prototypes.
Right, I'm
and,
sure they can do much more.
Maybe, this is the thing, the 3D thing to print it. But I assume that maybe you can customize and make it more tall and make it more higher and things like that. I don't believe they are going to, stuck in with the problem of the height of the.
But one thing I think also, Jaren, is that. This might be more useful for the whole seeding process and getting it going and getting it up. And then once it gets to a certain size, I mean, it's just watering, isn't it?
Well, have we seen any video of them actually showing fruits and vegetables growing from those plants? I don't think we've seen that. I haven't seen tomatoes being grown on those yet. It's just weird.
In this video?
Yeah, they keep showing the plants growing, but I don't know what's growing. It doesn't look like anything that looks like lettuce and stuff that's I don't know. It does. I don't
could be. Yeah, no, could be some kind of. When you go to the software, you have the repollo, which is the name in English.
Right. The position.
The repollo, the onions,
like
right? The cabbage,
some kind of
right. And
carrots.
the office. Yeah, the software was showing, right, Jaron, like you select, I want an eggplant here, and then I want this here, I want this there. So they were in that one scene that they were showing those growing. It was essentially what Ito just said, like cabbage, eggplant.
Maybe it's
I don't know how.
Maybe it's all stuff that stays low. Is what I'm saying. We didn't see tomatoes, did we? We didn't see cucumbers. We didn't see stuff that grows taller.
Yeah.
No, and you can use for growing things that go under the ground, for example.
Right.
Of course, this is not the ultimate solution for everything. But
it's still cool.
At least
I'll give it that.
It's cool, and you can have some starting points.
What's the lowest you spend with this? Like for printing your own, you have to have the 3D printer.
I don't remember. But for example, the video that I'm presenting right now, it's 2016 video. So I don't know how
what they've done
much. What they do in this almost 4 years.
Iru, what would you do with a 3D printer if I gave you one? Would you be able to use it? I can't think of a more useless product in the world than a 3D printer. I just really can't.
Man.
What do
you have one?
No, I don't use.
No, but if someone,
have a friend
if someone gave me one, what would I use it
printer.
for? I think it's so stupid. I just think it's a dumb product. I don't know. It seems like such a toy to me. It doesn't seem like something that has any practical use in your home. Maybe if you're a business or something, but I mean, for me, if somebody gave me a 3D printer, it would sit on my desk. What would I do with it? What do I need to make?
No, because
maybe I just live a simple life.
Pencil holder
to belong.
Right.
No, but you need to belong in some way to the 3D community. I mean, I use 3D software, so I have, for example, the immediately thinking in terms of very practical thing. Practical terms. I have a lot of 3D models.
Satellites.
Clients.
You're going to print satellites.
Let's ask Bob. Bob, if you got
have in my desk,
if you got a 3D printer, Bob, what would you use it for? What would be your first product you'd make?
Honestly, I have no idea. But in all fairness, Jaron, just because we wouldn't necessarily be able to have something like that doesn't mean that there wouldn't be absolute practical uses for it.
No, well, I'm talking about for a family, a house. A home.
Probably not a whole lot, but they're nifty, and at some point they're going to become cheap enough where you'll be able to do this, and then I can just see that in the future kids may be able to have like designing stuff and actually 3D printing it and products like that. So I mean, I think as a learning tool, especially right now, it would be very useful. So but all good things in their time, but we can't deal with 3D stuff because we're flat. So,
right, true. Everything's 2D. I need a 2D printer.
That's right.
No, it's just a question I've asked before because I can't imagine why people buy them for their houses, and I think anything that you make with one would be far more expensive than if you purchase it. Like Rodrigo just said, a toothbrush holder. You could get a toothbrush holder for 50 cents.
And someday, someday you are going to print 3D your own food from plastic. So you're going to eat it. Man. I mean,
that's where my tomatoes will come from. Exactly. Soon enough.
Yeah. Exactly.
Wow, that machine is incredible.
The guys in the ISS, they have a 3D print.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's practical for them, right?
They can make T-shirts. They make jerseys there. They make T-shirts. They make footballs in the ISS. You didn't know this? Cappuccino. It's everything
in 3D. It's everything.
Oh yeah.
The life is in 3D now, man. I mean,
Bob, have you ever seen a 3D printer? Have you gotten to use one or seen one work? I haven't seen it.
I have seen them work, but making little small plastic things. The guy that I saw actually use one was a jeweler. He designed rings, and so what he would do is he would 3D print out the molds and the design for the rings and or assorted jewelry. So yeah, I've actually seen one worked a little bit with the software on them, but not a whole lot.
Huh.
Did you see this video? I'm going to change topic, but
please,
I don't want to be rude. No, this was because I follow a lot of a YouTube channel that are official, very fanatic official NASA YouTube channel. So sometimes they put out there some kind of video that maybe you don't even found in the own site from NASA.
Right.
And this was supposedly the Neil Armstrong vacuum chamber B test in May 1969 without any kind of sound. Well, no, he's very complain and very, very nice and comfortable. I never pronounced well that word. But supposedly this is Neil Armstrong with the astronaut suit enter into the vacuum chamber. I'm going to go a little forward in time because it's 11 minutes. But something that really called my attention was, let me go a little more in the future. In the future.
Space travel.
I be a little exaggerated, but okay.
We're time traveling here.
Yeah, I'm time traveling with the
We're
video play.
already back in '69, so
see. It's easy.
Well, it's like yes. Yeah. There you have this real like a farm boat, but for astronauts, moving, helping to be like on the feet for the weight of the.
That looks really high tech stuff there.
Yeah, and this is supposedly right now he is in the vacuum chamber.
Right. Just moving around, nothing.
I mean, but something that really we don't have any kind of sound, so you don't have like a continuous feed of the video with the guy or something that you can see and say, okay, this guy is really in the vacuum chamber.
Nothing changes.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing changes. But something that caught my attention was there's gonna be a part in the video where some light hit his helmet. And if you see the flare in the helmet, it's like supposedly where they go when they were on the moon. Or at least that was.
And there's a string attached to his head, right? Oh,
what?
Yeah. There is a string attached to his head. Here.
Yes, not to the head. Supposedly
it's a knife. What's that?
I don't know.
Cover the helmet. It's covered by a nylon thing. It's weird.
It's weird, and we don't have sound. I don't. But see the glare and the flare in the helmet is like one light source, and it's very, very similar at what they present in the official videos on the moon.
Looks like a balloon or something. It's weird.
Is he connected to that thing above him? Is what I'm asking?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
That's I make a joke about that, but that's for real. I mean, supposedly I assume that the backpack is very heavy and he needs something to, take on his feet.
It's like the Arduous system, right?
At the beginning, we can think in terms of the beginning of that. But this is Neil Armstrong in the vacuum chamber. So there you have Flat Earther.
Right, it proves it. That's right. Here you go, Mark Sargent.
There you have it.
That's very proven. Oh, there's the
and now,
light source in the helmet.
And this is the flare. If you see the
look flare, at that. He gives a salute. Then it's real.
Yes. Let me just close this and look at that. Let me just make a quick comparison. But I don't know. But moon landing. Let me see. Helmet. Astronaut. Helmet. Moon. I'm trying to see, but this is a very, very, similar of those Apollo 16, Apollo 14 missions that they have this video, low quality video where you can see some kind of very similar glares in the helmet. And I mean, I just pointed out that you have this, this kind of. This is supposedly when they are when they were on the moon surface, and you have a very, very similar flare. This don't prove anything.
No.
I just
You're
something that
You're just pointing it out.
yeah, something like that. I am not going to say that this proved that they never go to the moon. But there is one particular mission, the Apollo 14, that it's the same kind of white spot.
And the roundness.
Yeah, exactly white.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean that. I mean, how many times do they have to prove in that American moon landing that there was, the mooning or whatever, that it's photographic? But yeah. I mean, why do people believe this stuff is the bothersome?
Oh, by the way, did you guys see Bart Sibrel's newest moon movie that he just released?
I have not. When did that come out?
Well, I think it's an older one, but I had never seen it before. I'll drop you a link to it. It's pretty good.
Does he chase astronauts?
No.
So it's not
no punching. No punching in the face.
It's called Apollo 0, and I will drop it in our chat here.
Okay. You want to I open Jeran, or you want to have the control?
Go ahead if you want.
Okay, man.
Ido, like on the helmets, have you run comparisons of the helmets? Have you looked at that when the Apollo 11 is going to the moon, that they have this show where they show the helmets inside the ship and they look super flimsy?
Yes.
And then later there's somebody should do, I mean, it's worth doing a comparison of all these, because even when Mark Sargent mentioned to me, he's like, yeah, in the 80s, their helmets that they were using, they're motorcycle helmets. And I was like, nah.
Yeah.
But it was. I looked and I was like,
yeah, motorcycles helmet and also motorcycle suits. I mean, those shiny silver suits of the Mercury mission, Gemini missions, they are really crap, man. I mean, you want to put the sound?
Yeah, and Jack says to play it at half speed.
1979 to 1981, and then again in 1999, and the Eisenhower dollar, which was minted from 1971 to 1978. The reverse sides of both of these coins were based on the Apollo 11 insignia, and show an eagle landing on the moon with the Earth in the background.
Okay, engine stop. We copy you down, Eagle.
Listen, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Roger, Tranquility. We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue. We're breathing again. Thanks a lot.
The belief that men actually walked on the moon is shared by the vast majority of the world's population. There are no high-profile scientists, astronauts, or officials that have openly expressed any doubt as to the reality of this alleged accomplishment. The only exception to this is former United States President William Jefferson Clinton. In his autobiography, My Life, published in 2004, he states on page 156, just a month before, Apollo 11 astronauts Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong had left their colleague Michael Collins aboard Spaceship Columbia and walked on the moon, beating by 5 months President Kennedy's goal of putting a man on the moon before the decade was out. The old carpenter asked me if I really believed it had happened. I said, sure, I saw it on television. He disagreed. He said that he didn't believe it for a minute, that them television fellers could make things look real that weren't. Back then, I thought he was a crank. During my 8 years in Washington, I saw some things on TV that made me wonder if he wasn't ahead of his time.
Yeah, really.
What Clinton says is that a gentleman expressed doubt in the Apollo claims, and he wonders whether that gentleman was correct. Now, exactly what is a former two-term United States president doing, wondering about the authenticity of the greatest technological achievement in the history of mankind? An event that had marked the legacy of his own boyhood hero, JFK.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Obviously, he has some reason to believe that the moon landings were not authentic. If a former U.S. president is wondering about the authenticity of the claim, does it not make sense that you should wonder too? One can imagine why a former president would not want to come right out and blow the whistle by unequivocally stating his true beliefs. But he did, probably for the sake of his legacy, want to have it recorded that he did subtly flag the issue for those paying attention, and he flagged it by using the old carpenter acquaintance to get his point across. Regardless of precisely how much time Mr. Clinton actually spends wondering about this, a closer examination of the claim reveals that to have performed such a feat in 1969 completely contradicts the evidence and otherwise offends common sense.
4 days, push. Engine arm is empty. I'm going to get the pro. 99, proceeded. 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Run away, Houston. Vector good. Ag start.
The last alleged mission to the moon was Apollo 17, which NASA says took place in December of 1972. Since then, absolutely no country claims to have sent astronauts or even animals more than 400 miles above the surface of the Earth. In recent years, space shuttle astronauts completed a trip wherein they attained a maximum altitude of 365 miles.
We gonna see the complete movie or
no?
No.
No. Okay. No. That's I just asked because maybe Bob wants to get some popcorns and
no, I've seen it. I just thought it was a really good movie, and I think that one of the most amazing things that I think about the Apollo missions it is just beyond me how people do not see right through this. I mean, virtually everything for one, but I mean the biggest thing for me is watching the little dune buggy model RC rover, running around the moon. You watch that the guy is not moving. It's obviously a dummy that's sitting there. It's clearly an RC model. There's no way that was even a full size, scale model thing. And to me, that is one of the most obvious, transparent, incredibly, telling giveaways there is on that, amongst the many others. But that one really, it's like, how can anybody watch that and not know instantly that that's not a real person, nor is it a full-size thing? It's a little model running around.
Because people want to believe, like this model on the screen.
Yeah.
It's all real.
This is, yeah. And in fact, I found this video with the glare in the helmet, and if you compare this studio glare at low quality with the videos, that first of all here this is like a giant sun out there. I mean, look at the size in terms of supposedly this is what happened with the sun, man. I mean, it's covered all the head. Look at the size of that. It's completely insane. If you start looking the difference between some of the suits and the helmets, supposedly they were made all in line, so it must be all the same kind of materials and things like that. So you have this, and I mean,
yeah, it's amazing also how the light of the moon got so much dimmer. The closer you get, it breaks everything we know about light. Bob has talked about that. How many lumens is supposed to have, Bob, when you get that close to it after 250,000?
Like 14 quadrillion lumens. It's ridiculous. Absolutely, utterly ridiculous. And the ballers, it's funny, the ballers are saying that, who was it? One of the main ballers, I think it was Bob the Science Fraud. That guy said, Globebusters was off by a factor of 1 million. It's like, even if I was off by a factor of 1 million, that is still, brighter than the sun, right? So it's like, yeah, discredit, and I wasn't off by a factor of 1 million. I simply did it. I took the distance, the measurement of 0.1 lumens. I even gave them the benefit of the doubt, right? Ben took 1 lumen. I said 0.1 lumens because that's what Wikipedia says it is, at 1 meter on the Earth, and I back engineered it 238,000 miles. I used a calculator, and it came to 14 point something quadrillion. It was just ridiculous.
Again, and the factor doesn't change. So it doesn't matter what you use. You could use 10 lumens. You could use 100 lumens. It doesn't matter. The math turns out that the factor is the same.
Exactly.
The ratio.
Yeah.
What is the current explanation or tentative explanation for that picture that Dave Marsh took? That with the moon, it shows the moon's surface, and it's kind of almost like it's inverted.
I saw something about that, but I didn't watch the whole thing. What Fill us in a little bit.
I know I shared a photograph, that picture from that the Marsh sent. I don't know if it was Globebusters was here. Yeah, here it is. I'll share it again in the chat. Forward here. Okay.
I'm going to
Here it
make
is.
the
So take a look at that later. I mean, I don't know if it's relevant now since we're talking about the moon, but it's just so odd.
I didn't understand what that's supposed to be, though. That's supposed to be a photograph?
Yeah, his observations from that he does that. He's looking at the moon all the time. So the same area, but the lighting is, it's almost like it's coming from behind or something.
Oh, got you. Each
under.
side is a different. Ebru, click that image real quick. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I have. And I'm playing half speed the Neil Armstrong vacuum chamber video, like.
Just Jackassed.
Just so.
And thanks for the super chat, Just Jack.
See it? It's just strange.
Yeah, it's like inverted. Yes, it's like an invert emboss. Or that is the name that we use in the graphic industry when you want to produce fake shadows and things like that. It's like inverted scene. It's like the same picture but with inverted light. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think he's not using I think these are observations that he took. I don't think he's just doing an emboss.
But this is a real picture from a camera observing the moon from the Earth? Or what is this?
I think that's what it is. Yeah, I think that's what he does. He constantly observes the moon. Is that correct, Bob? Bob knows more than I do.
Yeah. Dave is all about observing the moon. His material is second to none. Really good stuff.
Yeah,
so, yes.
This seems like areas like, see those three dots? Or it almost looks like go up a little bit, Eero? Up a little further and to the left. Go to the left side of the image. I don't know how to show it. It looks like a bowling ball holes. 3 holes right in the center of the screen. On the left side, yeah. A little bit left. A little bit left. And a little down. Okay, those 3 holes. Yeah, right there. So where are those holes on the right side?
They turn into those bumps somehow.
Here?
No.
I think
it would be over on the right side of the second image. It's supposed to be just the exact same
No,
picture.
that's right. You're right. Yeah, it's supposed to be on the right side. Yeah.
So where would those 3 holes be? It looks like they become 2 giant holes.
The 2 on top seem to be, I don't know. The one, I don't know.
Eero, see how it's supposed to be the same picture on the left and on the right? So find those 3 dots on the right image.
That's right. It's not.
You need to pay, man. Yeah, don't give me that kind of order. Yeah, I mean, it's very no, but yeah, that's right. I mean, I see a really nice coincidence picture and a lot of the feature, but that one,
not
for
everywhere.
example, no,
that's right.
No, but this patch here is really coincidence. For example, here we don't have it. This part here, I don't think this is the same part.
No, it'd be on the left. It'd be on the left. It's not inverted.
This is maybe just different days. I assume that there is different days. So he just trying to match, but this divided line maybe is not the most perfect thing to compare. But the big features that are really very coincident.
Yeah, something is going on, right? Something. If these are natural observations, right? This is the optics where we see that these shadows become inverted like this. How would that happen? That's the question, I guess, that a lot of people ask, and some people have looked into this. They say, I mean, I remember Bob, Chris Wonk had some really strange ideas about the moon being, the kind of things it's made of, if it's plasma, if it's this or that, if it gets reflected from under, if it's see-through. It's all kinds of things have been tossed to try to explain why apparently these inversions happen. But I don't know. I haven't done it myself, so.
Yeah, very, very, very strange, yeah.
Because otherwise, what it is, because that's one of the things that the ballers would be pointing out. The moon does look round. It's this disk, described in antiquity as a disk, just like the sun, but it seems to have features that they claim were only started to be observed with telescopes. But yeah, we see that there's something going on, and then there's a whole theory that they are electric discharges of some sort that, and that's what's doing it. But yeah, I don't think we ever really know in this lifetime. How would we?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
What do you guys think about the 100 stars missing? Have you looked into that further, Euro?
Aliens.
No, I didn't like further, but I read the news, and sometimes you lose things in space. What I gonna tell you, man? I mean, this time was only and this time was only 100. Tomorrow could be like who knows, thousands, and maybe we lost our even position.
I like Mike Adams's excuse for it. I think that's very creative.
Aliens?
What did he say?
Well, yeah, he said that he thought that aliens were building Dyson spheres around them, and that's why they were disappearing.
Sounds legit.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
Collecting their energy. Is that what it is?
The energy from the sun.
Of course, and he did this right after calling flat earthers crazy.
Wow. That's the health ranger guy.
Yeah.
He's a spacecraft alien person.
Yeah, he needs to turn into the mental health ranger after comments like that one, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that goes up the line with the Michikaku, the different levels of civilization that the BS that they have. They harness different kinds of energy. They harness the energy of the galaxy and the energy of this and the energy of that. They have an intergalactic network, and it's all Michikaku's kind of mumbo jumbo.
Oh, Michikaku. You know what? This is from yesterday at night here in Argentina. A very, very important news reporter saying fear for the coronavirus in Argentina. 33 cases has been processed in the Institute of Malbrán, which is like in a hospital. But here we reached the 33 too, man. I mean, this coronavirus never go up from 33 cases all over the place. So there is nothing to worry, man. At least it's going to be 33 and then stop.
It's just a coincidence that every news piece in Australia as well, there was 33. These 33 is just because division. You divide 10 by 3, you get 3.3.
Yeah.
I don't know what else you're going to say, right?
So ridiculous.
So ridiculous. So dumb. That looks very real to me. This all looks real.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I convinced now. With this one. Oh, look at that one. No, and that one that Ben showed the other day with the space shuttle, that one, oh my goodness. It was like made of plastic.
Yes. In fact, I have here, let me just very quickly, because I have
these ones with the lunar module coming up for this stupid idea of this reconnection with this orbiter thing. Who came up with this idea? This is so ridiculous. And then the thing comes up. I mean, anyone who looks at that cannot that thing, that kind of stuff. They just said, "Oh my goodness!"
No, and not just that, because I have prepared for doing in my English channel that I really recommend everyone out there to subscribe to one of the best, if not the best, English channel of Flat Earth.
I think it's the worst. It's the worst English channel.
And I'm not talking about jeranism or Grobbuster.
Okay,
no,
so
I'm talking about
your third place.
Okay, but
third.
Yeah. The third, okay, man. This kind of maquette. Remember that NASA, of course, they have a very, very detailed miniatures out there for who wants to, you can say that. Yeah, then this is
probably
for
buy a model
maybe
to buy
some
at the
kind
store.
of
scientific
purposes.
You could probably buy a little model for your children to build at home.
This is from NASA, directly from NASA headquarters. Maybe they use this for some kind of training or some kind of explanations.
Okay.
And this is another model. This is a paper model. Of course, they are not going to use this This is like no, this is a 3D artist. Then you have because I am just randomly open things of this folder in my computer. This is another miniature. This is a very detailed miniature from the Soyuz capsule or this. No, I don't think this is a Skylab. The mirror. This is a mirror. Yeah, exactly. This is a very detailed. I mean, if you start, you need to transfer this into the Hollywood techniques, where they start adding scratches and dirt and dust and things like that, and they put the one source light very precisely to produce the illusion to be in space. This is another one. Is just
bare. This one here has none of that. It's just a clear model by itself, and then you put that in the environment.
This is a clear model. Nothing more than that. I mean, no, sorry for that. Then you have, for example,
Chinese.
They have the globe on the table.
Yeah, this is the thing that I talked about a few times, that how they use these robotic arms to produce the sensation of orbit
movement,
moving things. Yeah, the orbit movement. But this is from the Interstellar movie. This is the spaceship where when they add all these tiny decals and scratches and dirt to the plastic models. They put on the robotic arms and things like that. This is a robotic arm from the camera. You have a black background and then one source light, and then you produce the feeling of being space.
So you don't even need the thing to move in a circle. You just have the camera move in a circle.
In this case, yes, exactly. But they have all these kind of cranes for moving object. This is another setup, for example. Then you have this composition from those two combinations.
But that's the real Earth behind it. That's the real Earth.
No, of course, man. That they go out into space to shoot the movie.
How would they fake that?
Of course.
Yeah,
they can't
of
fake
course.
it.
With the Space Force and the Secret Space Program.
Right, Secret Space.
Yes.
Just don't tell you that.
They have
Secret Service.
Corey Good has been to Mars, underground caverns. They stay away from the solar radiation.
This video I record because, for example, if you go to this part of the promo, you have all the and this is for the promo. I mean, but this is from JAXA headquarters. This is from the official web YouTube channel, and then you have how to fake it. I mean, there you have all the materials, the ground, the soil, the shakabusa, the spacecraft, the lighting. Everything you have there. So they use props and mock-ups and
they just like parading with it. Like it's so, and people are like, oh yeah, no, it's just because they're simulating what's gonna happen, and then there's the real data.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
and how would you know the difference? Even as a controller, you wouldn't know.
I mean, look at the Chinese landing on the moon, like their animation, and people. I mean, they even took that off the air or something because it was so embarrassing.
Like when NASA reported it with one image.
This is from Shane Bond's
when NASA reported the JAXA landing with just one image. They showed one image, and that was the whole story.
Yeah, let's not show a little more.
No,
more is worse. Yeah. Less is more.
More is worse, yeah.
And this is from James Bond movie. This is two from the James Bond movie, and this is 1979, so it's really in the past. And you can see, and if you start to compare these models with, for example, let me see, not this one because I didn't have this prepared.
Yes, this is not a presentation.
This is from what?
So this is not a presentation. This is just Iro going through his computer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, improvisation. This is from NASA headquarters. This is from real. This was the mechanism where they put all the
mercury and
exactly,
holding the capsules.
This was February 1965, upper stage from Pegasus 1, and this is an old video from this rocket, and they show this kind of whatever this is.
Whatever.
Oh yeah, and something is flying inside
I saw that. What is
the
that?
capsule.
It flew away.
Thing here.
Went right through it.
It's a flying rat.
This is just.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Look at that.
The
solar panel is expanding.
The solar panel, man. And a lot of things, white tiny points moving to the side. But this is better than what we have today. I don't know if that is the stars or. This is all just mock-up, In 1965, how they transmit this video to the Earth?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
From
With
the
analog technology, they didn't even have digital, any type of compression, multiplexing, or anything like that. It's just, and to have a continuous signal for a video feed, absolutely preposterous, especially with 20 watts on the surface of the moon. It's like, give me a break.
Oh boy,
it's they can do it, man. They just they just say they do it and they do it. Look, Jen, I just put your thing here, something for you here that Luisa shared with me, which is your favorite kind of food, grown in space. Here in Holland, they just had it. Yeah, they just had this out today. It's
again.
It's lettuce.
Oh man.
Yeah.
It's a arugula.
Oh, Latin in space. Wow. Yeah, and they celebrate having fresh food on the ISS and blah blah blah. And, I remember seeing this kind of experiment. Yeah. Giant lettuce.
So amazing.
Yeah.
Giant
they
lettuce.
talk to the plants. Yeah.
They're so happy to eat. Look at that. And
the problem is that the guy who talks with the plants are Chinese, and the plants they don't
speak that.
Catch it.
They're upside down here, most likely, because look at the shirts. And look at the neck of the Chinese guy, how strained it is. And this is what happened in the last, this Jessica Mayer thing that I told you, that the kids, I think, are onto something. Now, the kids are, I'm telling you, it's what I felt. It was weird. But she says, oh yeah, here's space. We have no gravity, la, 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 la. And then she turns upside down. Immediately, the pitch of her voice goes up like an octave. She turns upside down and goes because her body's upside down and she has more pressure on her vocal cords.
Exactly. And you can see that in a lot of them. I was just watching a video the other day with one of the female ISS astronauts in it, and it was so obvious she was upside down. Because you could see it. She was turning red. There was obvious strain in her face. And it was just crystal clear. She was upside down. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah. I think it might be the same. Not sure. It's a very recent one, but that's happened.
You can see it in a lot of them, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the kid even asked a question like, how is it? Don't you feel ill? Because the pressure is going to your head all the time and, because no gravity and so on. And like the kids are wondering, it's a good question. It's kind of a hard question. The way she tried to deal with it, it was very odd. You could tell she was lying, and she tried to turn around upside down, and it's like, and the voice change, and that's what you just saw here. Chris Hadfield's another one that you can totally tell his neck just. And that's really bad for you. I feel bad for it's terrible. They're being tortured in a way that for whatever it is, how they do it, I don't know, but it's not
amazing.
Something.
This is the most, sorry man for interrupting you, but how this antenna breaks and start swinging.
Oh no, I remember that. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing, man.
Look at that.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's classic. Whoops.
That's classic.
Nonsense.
But something that I ask myself is why this thing is rotating if the thrusters that are not even I mean,
dude, like we were watching a recent one, and thrusters were firing in directions that they had nothing to do with the movement of the ship. It's like
so obviously mechanical movement too. It's so obviously on strings.
The guys inside are throwing themselves up against the wall. It's inertia.
Yeah, man. Of course, it's this kind of movement. It's just simply this kind of movement. Nobody can have any doubt about it.
That's classic on that dish here. I can't believe you found that.
Yeah, I don't remember where I found it. Some Flat Earth channel posted. I don't know if Ben posted to this video.
I think it's Ben.
Yeah, I believe he was. Yeah, and here you can see this is a model from the movie, and then when you go to this classic, this was posted by Ben, and this is a complete miniature. I mean,
that's the one.
When you go to this shot here, let me just this.
Yeah.
Here, I mean, this one is completely like plastic.
Oh my god!
And the way that when they make that kind of zoom, it's no parallax. There is nothing. There is just like this has no depth.
No,
it's
a piece of plastic.
Like something flat there.
No, but zoom it up. I think that the thing itself, the shuttle itself. I mean, look at how it's just a plastic model.
Like the door open, it just looks so bad.
This is
the door. It's so embarrassing. Oh my god!
It's like making a zoom like like that.
No, that looks better. That looks better. The CGI model looks better in a way.
Look at that, man. I mean, no, and this is from the movie. At least this is a little more real because it has some dirt and some, scratches all over the place, some dust in the winds. This is perfectly clear. I mean, this is like
my goodness.
And this kind of maquette, if you compare this maquette, you can do, miracles with this kind of things, and good lighting, and some digital post-production thing. You have that, and I'm showing this, but if you go to the Hollywood industry in terms of miniature, you're gonna find miniatures that it's impossible. Yeah, it's impossible to detect if it's something real or is something a maquette.
Absolutely. It's a one thing to do would be watching some of the films from the 80s that they're using this and they're perfected sort of the technique. And there's some making offs as well because I know they use high speed cameras. They speed it up when they're doing explosions of maquettes because that makes it look more real. So films like RoboCop, for instance, will have the explosion of the parking lot, and that definitely will be something like that. There'll be so many of these in the 80s you can think of. John Carpenter's films.
No, but now in our days it's amazing. I mean, they still are using that. And something that I never saw, never ever, is in this kind of outside shot. We never saw a spacewalk.
Right from far out.
Yeah, from far out, exactly.
Who's filming this? What's this supposed to be?
Some kind of Soyuz approaching the ISS or something like that.
So bad.
But we never see a live event with astronaut outside this maquette trying to repair something. Yes.
One of the things that always bothered me is how horrible the design of these things are. I mean, it looks worse than anything any science fiction person has ever thought of. How they managed to pull that off, I don't know why they did that. It's just horrible. Look,
this is a miniature, for example. I mean, this is complete miniature. All these rocket there. This is miniature. This shot.
Which one is this?
Apollo 13.
Right. Yeah, they probably show all the techniques
this is a miniature,
they use.
For example, this is a miniature. This shot was a miniature. I mean, you can clearly see the amount of detail, that they can achieve. So it's indistinguished from reality.
Yeah,
you cannot distinguish.
one thing we're probably going to be talking about on Sunday is Space Busters also released another video talking about the noise of the Atlas rockets, right? And they do this analysis, and it's really great because they say, and NASA claims this, that one of the reasons that people have to stay back like 4 or 5 miles is because the rockets develop 220 decibels of noise, and that kind of noise will pulverize concrete. It will set grass on fire. I mean, all this stuff. And then they talk about, and the astronauts are just sitting a mere 300 feet away from that, right? And they're just sitting there, just all kicked back, talking on the radio. You can't even hear it. And it's like, I don't think anybody realizes those kind of sound pressures. I mean, 220 dB literally will liquefy shit. It's just great. So, I mean, there's so much crazy evidence. It just blows me away that anybody believes anything about any of these stupid space missions. Just incredible.
Crazy. And here you have a very clear example how if you take the props and the mock-ups inside of a zero-G plane, you can fake whatever cabin you want. I mean, because sometimes when the people start looking into the ISS footage or some space shuttle in the old missions, and they see how a lot of buttons and cables and things like that and all the equipment put together, they believe that no, that's impossible to fake. No, I mean,
right.
There's
no problem with that. One other idea for the distance, Bob. I know they say that about the decibels, but it looks to me that that's how they get away with having maquettes go up instead of the real deal. Because once you lost the perspective on it, you don't know how far you are. They can just put it closer to you and make it much smaller, and you think it's a massive ship way back when, whatever.
Mm-hmm. The old perspective tricks for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because some of them do look like models still now. Some look like some SpaceX stuff. For me, it looks like it's hanging on a rope or something. The ones that come back down
probably is.
Wouldn't put it past them.
It's one of the most one of my favorite SpaceX things is Jaron actually has it on his introduction. Where Elon is saying, you can tell it's real because it looks so fake, and you have the two rockets setting down side by side at the same time. I mean, my God, that looks so fake. I mean, it's just unbelievable. How can people not see this? Again, I mean, Jaron, you're right. They want to believe, and therefore, it doesn't matter what they're showing. Who is it? Level Earth Observer. That guy, I love what he does. He takes these old cartoons, right? And shows these old cartoon rocket launches, and then he compares it with NASA footage at the day, and the cartoon footage is actually better. It's better. Right?
Yeah, I don't get it. It's like a sad epidemic, but it's what happens, I think, if you teach people at such a young age that something is true, they just can't get over it. And for us, once we've gotten over it, then it's just easy.
Then you can't unsee it.
No. I can't watch any space stuff and even come close to seeing it as real, mostly because you can call out the fraud in every bit of it.
Yeah.
It's so easy to tell after a while, right? It just pick up on all sorts of different details, and that somehow people are missing.
Yeah, and it's like sometimes we might see pieces that we say, oh, that seems like it looks pretty good. Well, the people on the opposite side of the field, they see those as okay, good. There's one thing that looks really good. That must mean that the rest of it is real. Whereas when we see one thing that looks good, it's like, all right, you pulled it off one time. Great.
Yeah, exactly.
We know that it all can be so easily done. I mean, look at, like you said, Gravity. Look at Interstellar. All these different films. And, of course, you can make it look as real as you want. You can have uncut footage. This is uncut footage of the ISS. And what are you talking about? How easy is that to fake?
That was actually cut, though. They say it was uncut.
Well, that's what I mean. Okay. It doesn't even matter if it's uncut or cut. We know what it is. It's fraud. Yeah.
Yeah, there's still tech though that I find interesting. Like, I would really like to know exactly what it is, when we look up and we see the light going over and they're calling it the ISS. I still tend to believe that that is like a U2 that's been outfitted with like ultra bright LED lights. But the one illusion that they pull that I really would like to figure out how they do it is, how do they do those transits across the sun and the moon with the ISS, like the one that you got and Karen got and everybody's got, and it's like, how do they pull that one off? That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a tough one, especially when you look at the, like I've looked at that website before and shown you guys that it's not.
But
and nobody knows
you get the right angle.
Yeah, I guess I have to look into it a little bit more, because I've also heard people say, "Oh, that can just be a U2, or that can just be." But I think that if you figure out how fast it's moving from observer to observer, meaning if an observer in California sees it and then an observer in New York sees it, for that craft to be moving at that speed, I think it's moving really fast.
Yeah, well, because the entire transit time on those things takes milliseconds, right? It's less than a second. It's maybe like 300 milliseconds. And when you compare that transit time, even across the moon, and you extend that out, and, like sometimes we will see the transit times here. Typically it's around 6 minutes, but I've seen it as high as 8 minutes.
Yeah, me too. I've seen it more.
Yeah, there's no freaking way, right, that is traveling 17,000, 5 miles a second. There's no way it's doing that.
Right.
Right.
But I mean, they also have, for example, this Humanity Start, that it was a project created for remind all the humanity that we are worthless.
And what happened
we
to
don't
that
have
thing?
any.
Isn't it gone?
The what?
What happened to the Humanity Star?
Humanity Star, did you know it?
Yeah, but where did it go? Is it gone, or is it still there?
No, it's still there. I mean, they have this kind of technique to fake this kind of thing. So I don't know how they do it, but you have this kind of
what is
things
this? What is this?
This was a project created for, I cannot see in English, but it was Wikipedia in English. It's designed to produce flare visible from Earth. Its shape was a geodesic sphere about 1 meter in diameter, similar to a large disco ball. It was launched into the polar orbit of an electron rocket, blah, 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 and re-entered in atmosphere. It was re-entered into the atmosphere in 2018. According to the rocket, blah, blah, was a project to, a reminder to all on Earth about our fragile place in the universe.
It's like a balloon. It's a balloon made of mirrors, essentially.
Yes. And the purpose of this is remind all the humankind how tiny we are and fragile in the universe. And this is the humanity star.
Right. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Very inspiring.
Very inspiring. Yeah. Very, very inspired. Yeah. I'm going to stop sharing, Sharon.
Okay. Oops, is he still there? Earth to Jaren. Come in, Jaren.
Come on, Jaren.
Oh, wait. Yeah, he's still there. He's not muted. Ruh-roh.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know that, because
you bored him to death here.
Oh, here he is.
What the hell?
Oh, okay.
I was just trying to talk. The same thing happened to Bob earlier.
That is weird, isn't it?
What I was trying to say about the Humanity Star, that it's not up there anymore.
Oh, it's not up there.
2019 was
okay.
2018 was the last year.
Yeah, it reminds us of the fragility of.
But I mean, they have this kind. With the Humanity Star could be a balloon, but they have some kind of. They are more advanced than us, of course, in some things.
You know why they say the Earth is so fragile? Like this thing of the ball being so fragile, because a ball is so fragile. It stands on nothing, right? It's a house of cards. on this other, I mean, I just thought of that. That's like, it's funny because they're saying it all the time. Like every astronaut, on that, even that video with the uncut scene. At the end, they're like, oh, it's so fragile from here, la 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 la. It's always the same message, always the same thing. But in fact, it is very fragile. Their position is very fragile because they're being ousted already. I mean, they should be, Like if science were science, if people were reasonable, if they had eyes to see or whatever, which what we all established beyond a shadow of a doubt, it's fake. It should be gone immediately. It should be out. They're clowns, right? So, for how long is that going to stand? It's amazing that it manages. I don't know. It's that thing with the news benders, right? The relief, but it's also kind of strange relief.
This is the article I was telling you about. So funny that it's on polygraph.info. I just love that name, which is hilarious. Right. So it's talking about deadly disinfo. Doomed, how the flat Earth conspiracy doomed an amateur rocketeer, even though he's just an Evel Knievel stuntman. But it goes into this article talking about how the flat Earth led to his death, of course. But down here it's talking about. Take the anti-vaccine movement, which has been blamed for the resurgence of diseases like measles that were all but eradicated. Anti-vaccine sentiments are typically driven by the false claim that vaccines cause autism. Fear of autism has opened the door to a host of alternative medicine, disinformation offering miracle cures for the condition. One of the most dangerous examples is known as MMS, or minimal. Though it has been billed as a treatment for autism and a variety of ailments, it's actually an industrial bleach. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, because you should trust them. Let's trust warned against this solution, listing harmful side effects such as severe nausea, dehydration. It's like it gets so bad. And Amazon banned a book recommending this fake treatment on its website. But it's all talking
Morgul swore by that stuff too.
Yeah. And it's just crazy that they all talk about this. But then, it's so funny because this is saying that Mad Mike's death was because of the flat Earth belief, which is funny because it's on Polygraph, but then in space.com, let's see why this didn't come up. Let's try it again.
See, and that's the whole thing, why they're trying to even connect Mad Mike with Flat Earth. He was not a Flat Earther. He stated it many times, except to the people that he wanted to get money from. Then it's like, yeah, I'm a Flat Earther, because what's he going to say? Yeah, I want $7,000 from you. So what am I going to tell you? I'm just a globe guy that really wants to
it's just so
promote
funny
my rocket.
It's so funny you have this polygraph.info telling us that it's because of the flat Earth, and you got space.com saying Mad Mike wasn't trying to prove flat Earth theory on an ill-fated homemade rocket. Although I do believe in the flat Earth, this was never an attempt to prove that. So at least space.com goes into saying that it had nothing to do with that. That it was risky. He knew it. This guy right here, his compadre, says this is a 50-50 deal. Stakes added in 2019. When you climb inside a rocket, there's a 50% chance you're not going to climb back out of it. But he added
only if you're a NASA astronaut.
Right, then it's 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike is a daredevil, and he's willing to take that risk. So he knew exactly what he was getting into. It wasn't because of flat Earth at all. So again, this is.
And he's doing it before, right? He'd been doing. You watched the documentary. You said.
Yeah, but it's been used. It's been used to ridicule flat earthers. I mean, that's the biggest thing my biggest objection. Mad Mike, yeah, great. He's like Evel Knievel or whatever.
Right.
But the fact that, they're tying this to flat Earth, all this does is just makes flat earthers a laughing stock.
Right. Yeah. It says in a 2017 documentary about Daredevil entitled Rocket Man, Mad Mike's mission to prove flat Earth, Hughes stated, "I'm not going to take anyone else's word for it, or NASA, or Elon Musk, or SpaceX." He says, "I'm going to build my own rocket right here. I'm going to see it with my own eyes what shape this world we live on." But he's talking about his raccoon, which they talk about up here. Then he says, however, the interview with Space.com, Hughes clarified, "Although I do believe in the flat Earth, this was never an attempt to prove that. This flat Earth has nothing to do with steam rocket launches. It never did. It never will. I'm a daredevil," he added. He additionally shared he wanted to inspire people. Well, I don't know if that inspires people really to get in there and crash.
And when I can share my screen again, I want to share something else related with all this.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay.
It's funny too, Jaren. Like they say, this guy's a daredevil. He died because of the flat Earth, as if going to Mars is gonna be something you're gonna survive, right?
Right.
It's like suicide. Right?
Yeah. The reality is he hated flat earthers. I mean, he was going after a great majority of us. He was doing things like copywriting Patricia Steer and Mark Sargent's names. And when I asked him, I go, Mike, why would you do that? Well, because I think they're shills and I want to have a way to get back at them. And I'm like, why would you need a way to get back at them? Based on your personal opinions, you just think that you can go and ruin people's lives. for this. I mean, frankly, guys, I'm sure I made this clear, but I can't stand that guy. I think he was a POS, straight up.
Well, I saw people in the chat saying they think Jaren's a shill, so obviously I've got a lot of
well,
shill.
you are.
Yeah, a lot of shill.
That's okay.
Behavior.
We love you anyway.
I do a lot of
he is a
for
shill
somebody.
because he belonged to the globe earth and now he's a flat earther.
Right.
He was
Making all these
instructed by the
isms.
Jesuit and
Right.
now he denounced Jesuits. So
Right. I'm shilling for the Jesuits, actually.
yeah.
That's right.
And what I'm presenting now is when I was in Europe this year, I was visit his the lab from the guy who create the MMS, which is Andreas Kalker,
Right.
because I want to see. I interview him here in Argentina, and really is a really nice guy, and I want to see the research behind the thing that I'm drinking from so long time ago. So this is the lab is just tiny, quote unquote, in terms of how much of how big labs are in Switzerland because they have all the pharmaceutical companies running that country. But the guy, there are really nice guy, and he had a really nice research behind this solution. In fact, this is in the microscope. This is a long. How you pronounce pulmon, Rodrigo?
Lung.
Lungs. Long.
Tissue?
Not tissue. Which was really bad at the beginning, and they start testing with the MMS directly applied to the lung tissue. And it was like recover, but they take this very serious, and in fact they received the first Switzerland medical patent for this. So you are not going to receive a patent in a country which your competition is the big pharma.
Right.
If your product produce disease and is going to poison you. You're never going to receive that in Switzerland.
So what's the difference between this and the other MMS stuff? This is slightly different, right?
It's slightly different in terms of the taste and how much you can drink without having any kind of secondary effects. Because, of course,
anything in too much is damaging to you, too. Obviously, you can't drink gallons of MMS. Obviously, you can't drink
too much water,
gallons of borax, right? If you drink a gallon of milk, you'll die.
That's what I'm going to say. I mean, you cannot. But in fact, if you drink too much, your own body is going to reject.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to throw. So the thing is, this is not a poison. In fact, it's really, really good product for a lot of things. The first thing is that, for example, the majority of the people, they don't know, and of course they are not obligated to know. But this is a official TV news from Colombia, and the journalist is saying that for contamination reasons, they started using chloride dioxide in the pipes of the city, in the water pipe from the city, because it's one of the best product that you can use to, and this is a technician inside of the government saying that we use chloride dioxide to clean the water. So how could be a poison something that it used inside of the water plant?
Right.
That is the first thing. So the guy, which is Andreas Kalker, he go also to talk with a chemistry woman to certificate that this is not just like, ¿cómo se dice cloro, Rodrigo?
Chloride.
Yeah, it's not chloride. It's chloride dioxide. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Dioxide.
Sorry for that. Yeah. Which is not the same thing, because when we talk about waters, if I say this, H2O, this is water, but this is not water. This is, we call...
Água oxigenada.
Yeah, oxygen water. So if you drink this, nothing happened. But if you drink this, you are gonna be poisoned, right? So when you talk about chloride dioxide, it's not the same thing as chloride, as just the chloride that you use to clean your floor, your house. It's not the same thing. So that is why it's used with the main reason is about using from cancer, from even from coronavirus, from cold. I use for everything, and in fact I use also when I create this distilled water, I just put some drops on the distilled water. I use in my daily basis from 6 years from now. So it's complete lie what they say. They are so worried because this product is very effective.
Right.
So that is why they go directly to trying to cut off, because it's very, very a nice product. And
it's like flat earthers on the internet, like YouTube, right? That's why they attack. That's why they get attacked, because it's a very nice. Yeah,
and you have so many testimonies out there from if you just and I know because this is in Spanish, but if you put MMS testimonios, and I assume there's gonna be some out there in English, but you have so many people talking about like, well, I have this and I'm started using it and I recover from this disease, from this other, from the other. I cannot pronounce because I am not. I didn't know the technical name in English. But if this is something really, really bad, you gotta have a lot of technical report. Show me one official technical report when someone said that guy died because he consumed MMS.
Right. Instead,
they're saying in that video.
Well, instead they just say the Food and Drug Administration says that it's dangerous, and of course,
show me an official record.
Right. Well,
of course,
like alcohol, they don't need them.
Like I said, there's people who take borax therapy and stuff like that. Well, obviously, if you ask the Food and Drug Administration, and they will tell you, no, borax is a cleaning agent and it's not to be eaten, but in the correct amount, I'm sure it can be fine.
What is that?
This woman is a technical chemistry, and the guy, this is Andreas Kalker, and the guy take this professor, Doctor, which is the name? Sorry again, Doctor La Puente, and this is Spanish. Okay, that is why I don't play the sound. But this woman certified that the MMS is not a poison. You can drink it in the correct amount and you're going to have the result. But this is not a poison. It's not chloride. It's not the same thing as chloride. Well, what I'm trying to show with all this kind of stuff is that the product is very well studied. Nobody is going to put your own head, poison people.
No. With their name on it? No way.
No way. Exactly, no way. So, and I don't know if you saw this this video from October when the guy, one of the guy in the panel, asked for the vaccination from the vaccine censorship on Facebook. Did you see this?
I don't remember. Let's see it.
It's in English, of course, and it's a very short video. Not short video because it takes 6 hours, but this particular topic is about 3 minutes. If you want to, I can play.
Sure.
That's fine with me, if it's okay with Jaron.
Sure.
But Jaron start having trouble with
my sound again?
mic.
Are you trying to speak and can't speak again?
God bless it.
So much for no more audio problems.
There you are, Jaron.
You don't hear me?
Yeah, now we hear you.
Son of a buck. All right. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, I'm gonna play it and take a look. The face. This is a robotic face, man. It's amazing.
So funny. Drinking the water was hilarious.
The haircut is amazing. So I'm gonna play, but the situation is very nice to analyze.
Holding this very informative.
It's for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Ranking Member McHenry, for holding this very informative hearing. For many of us, Facebook is a reality in our business and our personal lives. I communicate with my constituents as well as my friends through the platform daily. Many benefits accrue from the service, yet in the midst of these great benefits, great challenges have emerged, and I want to welcome you to this hearing. Mr. Zuckerberg, I believe Facebook is a great innovation that has much potential for good, that we welcomed an innovation together with the controversies that it spawned. Unfortunately, some in politics and the media see their role as cajoling Facebook to censor its user speech. In April, I wrote you that I was disappointed that Facebook would consider restricting free speech rights to communicate the risk associated with vaccinations. I support vaccinations of children and adults, but I also support open and frank communication of the risk of vaccination. Every person should make vaccination decisions with full information. In recognition of the uncertainties, the risk of vaccinations, the federal government has created a vaccination trust fund that has paid out over $4 billion to
$4 billion.
Right.
Yeah.
those who have been injured by over
for compensate those
Injury.
who has yeah. So
Yeah.
that you have like a punch in the face right on the way.
Yeah.
So let me just finish the video.
$4 billion vaccination trust fund that has paid out over $4 billion to compensate those who have been injured by vaccinations. There's no more clear or persuasive statement that the risk associated with vaccinations than the existence and the payment record of that fund. From time to time, medical research has established case and context of specific risks associated with vaccinations. I wrote to you when another member of the House made claims that the risk of vaccination should not exist and that Facebook should police communications related to the vaccination risk. Today you testified you believe in giving people a voice, and Mr. Zuckerberg, is Facebook able to assure us that it will support users' fair and open discussions and communications related to the risk as well as the benefits of vaccinations?
Never.
Congressman, thanks for the question. We do care deeply about giving people a voice and freedom of expression. Those are some of the founding values of the company.
Bullshit.
At the same time, we also hear consistently from our community that people want us to stop the spread of misinformation. So
$4 billion.
Right, that's not enough.
That is misinformation. The government pay $4 billion to the people that has injury with vaccine.
Yeah, imagine the injury you have to
Well,
get
here's
a
the
bunch
other
of
thing
money
too,
like this.
just so you know, well, you can. The other thing is you have to report it within like a year,
Right.
which is crazy because if you realize, let's say you have a child who's 14, maybe they have autism, and now that you start hearing this stuff, you think back and you're like, you know what? My child did get some seizures right after they were vaccinated. My child did get this problem, and you try and go get it. Sorry, when were they vaccinated? Well, back when they were 3 months old. Sorry, it's been 14 years. You only have a year to claim. So the $4 billion covers the people who were able to claim within that year window. Doesn't count everybody else that would be due that money.
Exactly, man. Exactly. But this kind of thing is that something that you need to take, not you, me, whatever. I mean, the people must be recognized that that is a real issue.
Right.
Right. Of course.
That there's a whole
and
fund,
these guys
and
start
they-
censoring because...
And the companies that create the vaccines aren't even held accountable. They're not the ones who have to pay any money. They just make money off of it, while the people who have to pay
Right.
is
That's
the
crazy.
government.
They're immune. They
They're
have
immune.
immunity somehow.
They have the total immunity. So
It's
why? Because it's the
unbelievable.
government telling
how does
them.
that even possible?
Because it's the
How
government.
can it create? Yeah. No. Go
I
ahead.
didn't know if I was
Sorry.
talking. No, because the government is the ones telling them to create the vaccines. The ones giving the contracts, saying,
Right.
"Yeah, produce this vaccine, produce it in this quantity. We have this many bursts every year, so you need to have this much vaccine, and we won't hold you accountable for any." And they want it done quickly. There's not enough testing done on any of this stuff. It's just
Right.
immediate. It's like-
The research is not available
Well,
for
think about
you
if they
to
have-
scrutinize, which it should be.
Right. I mean-
Especially if it's injected into your body. You know what I'm saying?
It's like the coronavirus. Like they say they're going to make a vaccine and it should be ready in less than a year or whatever. How can you have a product come out in a year that means that any kind of testing only has a year shelf life.
Yeah.
Well, what if
it's
something
insane.
happens
Like
after that?
even freaking talc powder, they probably test better than this, and honey and stuff.
Well, talc powder ended up causing people to have cancer too.
Yeah, it did.
Ranty Flatter sent a super chat. Thank you very much, Ranty. He says, have a soda on me. All right, I don't drink soda, but I'll have a glass of distilled water on you. And Sherlock Bones, thank you very much for the $20 super chat. Really appreciate it. All right, sorry, Yuri, go ahead.
No, I going to stop the video because they
What
start
else does it say
fighting. What again?
There's a fight. You say sorry. No. I'm just curious how you do what ended up happening there. He said, well, Zuckerberg said, well, we're being asked to police.
I play it because it's only 2 minutes more.
100% confident, but
yeah.
Are you,
Congressman? I don't think it would be possible for anyone to be 100% confident, but my understanding of the scientific consensus is that it is important that people get their vaccines.
Oh God!
You said your platform. You want to. You believe in giving people a voice. Shouldn't somebody have the opportunity to express an opinion different from yours? I mean, over $4 billion has been paid out by the fund. Over thousands of people. Don't you think people should be able to have information to make an informed choice?
Congressman, I do. And that's why we don't stop people from posting on their page something that's wrong.
The hell you
but if someone
don't.
wants to post
How do they know that's wrong or right?
Anti-vaccination content, or if they want to join a group where people are discussing that content, we don't prevent them from doing that. But what we do is we don't go out of our way to make sure that our group recommendation systems try to show people or encourage people to join those groups.
Okay.
We discourage that.
Okay. Well, how do you discourage it?
By not.
Well, there are a number of different tactics. For example, if someone is typing in into the search results, into the search box, something that might lead to anti-vax content, we don't recommend anti-vax searches to them. If you type in the name of a group exactly, you can get the group. We're not going to hide it. We're not going to prevent you from joining it. But we're not going to recommend or go out of our way to show people content that would encourage people to join those groups. But
Well,
people can share that content
Many
if
of
they
the
want.
people harmed by this policy are in fact parents with disabled children, and I don't think we or you should be so quick to turn our backs on them.
Yeah, who is
if
he
you
to
look-
judge this fucking?
I think
Oh
you're.
my God.
Well, it's the
Crazy.
same nonsense that goes on with YouTube, right? And if somebody comes to the platform and says, I want to search flat earth, well, the last thing, all you're going to get is Professor Dave, Simon Dan, National Geographic. They'll never, now, if somebody goes and searches jeranism, can they find it? Sure. But if somebody searches flat earth, they're never going to find jeranism. They're not going to find globebusters. They're not going to find Ebro.
No. And in fact, if I type here vaccine, vaccine, you're gonna have a lot of things related,
CDC,
with the World Health Organization.
Yeah. Gates
If
Foundation, look at that right away.
Yeah, Bill Gates Foundation. Well, if I start typing anti, and I type vaccine, nothing appears. Nothing.
All right. You're
And it doesn't matter if you type in English or in
Gates Foundation.
Spanish.
American
Now I
Medical
type
Association.
anti-vaccine and I receive the officials site.
1984, full on.
So if I type in
1984,
vaccine
man.
or anti-vaccine, I get Gates Foundation. Thank you.
Yes. Anti-vacunas, which is in Spanish, and I press and I go to the same places.
Gates, how much does he pay Gates to get his foundation
Whoa,
right?
man.
Oh, the WHO.
So they don't recommend the groups that are anti-vaccination, but they recommend the groups that are pro-vaccination.
Of course, even when you're searching the opposite.
Because they're unbiased. Because the objective truth of science had said so. Or he says, imagine he believes in a consensus of, like, how could he pull that off? That obviously anyone who's ever been involved with science knows that there should not be consensus in science. It couldn't be unless it's not moving forward or growing, right? You have to disagree on lots of things.
Remember, Rodrigo, you just have to remember that, science is true whether you choose to believe in it or not.
Right. Yeah. Well, that is our reality, man. This is the free speech from from Facebook. I'm gonna stop sharing again.
That's embarrassing. Eh? So
Yeah.
embarrassing. Wow. And I mean, I bet that like that man was saying, imagine the parents of these children, how they must feel with this situation. You know, those people who've been through this. You know, and you guys, and Bob, you mentioned yourself and Jaren as well. Like this is just, you know, I think it's like 1 every 4 children is subjected to this, right?
Oh, it's a lot more than we think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big number.
Alrighty.
Yeah. Pretty cray-cray.
All right,
it's an insane world we live in, guys.
Absolutely.
That's what it comes down to.
I'm just showing a few. I'm going to put this couple articles into the show notes, the space.com one. I don't know if you guys saw this one. Oh, I'm not sharing with you. Hold on.
You know what, Jaren, if you could do one thing before we close out the show, if you would play a 3.5-minute clip from Space Busters regarding their documentary that they put on BitChute. Let me put that in the chat here really quick.
You're putting it in the Skype chat?
Yeah, I'll put it in the Skype chat because I think this is, this pretty much sums it up about what the hell is actually going on, with the censorship of this topic. It's, to me, this is really important, and not because it's fear-mongering, but because that when we really know, or at least I believe, that now that we know what is really going on behind this coronavirus / 5G stuff, there's ways that we can actually take measures to protect ourselves from it, and that's really what it's about. IMHO.
Okay. I will show that as we head off. We also, I just found this article that I was reading found something about the rice experiment, saying that it's clearly not true. And why? Again, they give the reason of scientists can't help but roll their eyes. We need to make sure we carry out experiments in ways that assure as much as possible that the effect is due to what we are testing and not random chance, said this particular doctor. In this case, many things could lead to the results. It's just so ridiculous that this is what they have to go with. And why do they have to go this direction? Because they can't, in the end, ever say that something like human emotion can cause anything. Because there's no way to bean count it. How do you count love? How do you count hate?
That's it.
So basically what they're saying is because science can't test that, then those things don't exist, and they can't happen. So for all we know, love doesn't exist, hate doesn't exist.
Well, you can test it. You can't quantify it. That's their big deal. If you can't quantify it, then it's not real. And that's the whole thing with the ether and stuff like that. But here's the thing. Even with the ether and stuff like this, there are ways to quantify it depending on how you want to apply that scale. So again, it's just them being completely ignorant and writing the narrative their way.
Right.
But CERN found the love particle yesterday.
Oh,
they smashed 2 hearts and spread.
They smashed them real fast together at speeds twice the speed of sound, or like.
Yeah, exactly. The tachyon.
And maybe we could look at this on.
We
could either look at this on Sunday, or maybe I'll do a separate video about it. But I don't know if you saw this article from the Washington Post from just this week. The weather helps disprove the flat Earth hypothesis. And,
again.
Yeah, and this is great because it says if the flat Earth hypothesis were true, well, first of all, but even weather shows that the Earth isn't flat. Here's how: if the flat Earth hypothesis were true, you'd be crushed to death. Because of the way gravity works, which we all encounter in our daily lives, every molecule of air would be drawn to the Earth's center of mass. So it's so funny because, again, this is what Bob always talks about, is using their science to disprove it, as if we've ever said that all of gravity pulls towards the center of mass. No. If anything, even if you want to believe that there's a downward force, then it's happening everywhere across the plane the same. It's not pulled towards the North Pole at more than it is the South Pole, which is what they say.
Yes, everything falls to the North Pole, guys. Let's get used to it.
Yeah, it says, if the Earth
it's the same thing over and over again.
It's the same thing. If the Earth were flat, a disproportionately large chunk of air would be drawn towards the center of the disk that flat earthers believe in. Air pressure would range from near zero or no atmosphere at the edge of the disk to massive values towards the middle. This is an actual article. It's so ridiculous. How about this one? Rain and hail would fall sideways and you might drown. This is how we know the Earth isn't flat.
That's pathetic.
Then they even show this graphic and say the sun would never set. Thank you very much. Cool, makes a lot of sense. We would all
getting super creative.
How about this one? We would all freeze or burn. That's another reason that the Earth is.
Right.
Lunar eclipse as well.
They came up with a script, a sci-fi script for us.
Oh, it's so good.
No, that meme is amazing. Yeah.
That proves it, yeah.
And the jet stream, forget about it. It's like they don't show the Earth.null school map, you'll notice.
No Bob's wins.
Oh, boy. Yeah, no Bob wins. There would be no hurricanes on the flat Earth.
Why?
The Aurora Australis would have some issues. It's just such a bad article. Ocean currents would be screwy, as if they're not now. That's so great. It's such a bad article. Anyway, I'll copy that, put it in the show notes, and maybe we'll cover it on Sunday.
Definitely, because I haven't read it yet, and I would love to read this article. And I have a few other ones that are directly related to this as well. So,
and then also I'll include a video by Mark Sargent, who did a pretty good video called "Why This Flat Earth Video Is Important," in which he goes through and talks about again a different. This is a view from a little while back of the same platforms of the Black Swan. Showing again, I forgot how high this one's, from 8 feet. Yeah, he shows exactly, here we go. Shows exactly where the camera was, sitting on this railing at 8 feet elevation. And then showing again that the horizon line is well past the second, I remember the distances of these. And I think the horizon should be at like 4 miles or 5 miles. It's much further than 10.10 miles, as we can clearly see. So that's a good video. I'll copy that one into the show notes. And then the last one that I thought was really good that you should also watch is Red Pill Philosophy. You won't believe how retarded globe believers have become.
That is a good one.
It's a great video to hear these guys try and talk about the horizon, whether it's real, whether it's not, whether it's there, whether it's physical, whether it's not physical. They're just all over the place. They have no clue anymore what they're even talking about. So I will include that video as well. All that will be in the show notes for people looking for something to watch. And now we will watch what the video Bob's going to share. Let me get this up here. Put this up. Okay. And there we go. And Rodrigo, when's your baby coming? I forgot to ask you. Soon?
Like in a couple, not even a couple of months or less.
Wow.
Yeah, very, very soon.
Coming quick. And you're not a dad already, right? It's your first time?
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, if I haven't said so yet.
Thank you. I'm bracing for it. It's going to be interesting.
Wait, where is this? Bob just linked it. There we go. Thanks, Bob.
Yep, you're welcome.
I hope your son bring the same laugh that you have, Rodrigo.
We'll take my laugh. Yeah.
Don't let it take your laugh. Don't let it do it. Okay.
At least.
The famous laugh.
All right, we'll watch this and then we'll say goodbye to everybody. So here we go.
All right.
No.
If you thought BitChute was the answer to YouTube censorship, think again. Or did you think the all-seeing eye didn't see BitChute? 2 days ago, we uploaded our latest film onto BitChute because we knew YouTube would take it down immediately, and possibly our channel as well. To our surprise, by yesterday morning, we were the number 3 trending video on BitChute, and also on page 1 of the most popular videos.
But by yesterday evening, our video had disappeared completely from both trending and popular, but was still available on our channel. Well, sort of. Now, when you go to our video, copy the title word for word and put it in the BitChute search engine, you get no results found. It's never heard of it before. If you type it in manually, as soon as you get to the controversial keyword, nothing. Quite odd, considering it was the number 3 trending video on the entire platform just a few hours before, don't you think? Well, surely we must be in the weekly trending. We were number 3 and 4 for 2 days. Nope. If you search for our channel, you get one result with 8 videos, even though we have many more than that uploaded. But guess which video definitely isn't on there? Also quite odd, considering if you click on our channel, it's the most viewed video we've ever had. To add insult to injury, when we are logged in and look at our comment wall, we see some blocked user but cannot see the comments. But if we don't log in and go on as the general public, we see his name and what he is saying. So they want you to see it, but not us. Because this person's activity shows clearly he is a paid troll who spends all day doing exactly that, trolling down his list of targeted videos by the establishment. Nobody could watch hundreds of hours of videos in a day and read thousands of comments. It's clearly a paid agent or a bot working a list and a script.
Well,
in fact, we even put up a short trailer on YouTube with a link to BitChute, and for many people the links won't take them there, are cut off, or they get there and get no sound or the video won't play for them. Coincidence? Maybe. Definitely. But as the old saying goes, you don't catch flack unless you're right over the target.
All right, thank you, Spacebusters. I'll also include that link into the show notes, but the BitChute will be the first link that you see in the description. So that's about it for us. Let everybody say goodbye to you. Again, we'll be back Thursday with Eru doing part 1 of his presentation. But let's go to maybe we'll see. He could bail out again. You never know. All right, let's say goodbye to Bob. Bob, what's coming up for you?
Okay, well, on Sunday, like I said, I am just waiting for a response from Spacebusters. They have been on Globebusters before. They make some really excellent content, and I really like Stephen Ross a lot. So if they respond and are able to come on Sunday, then they will be our guests joining us. Otherwise, we'll probably be covering cymatics a little bit more in depth, along with all this other crazy stuff that you didn't get to today, Jaron.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. And Rodrigo, anything coming up new with you?
Well, I did a few streams this week, and just getting on with a bunch of things happening at the same time as usual, and getting ready for the baby and everything, and so maybe moving from where I am. So lots of things going on. But it's good to talk to you guys, and thank you so much for having me, and we'll see how it goes, and hopefully I can still do what I do, and we'll see how it goes. So
sounds good. All right, and then all of our links are in the description, obviously, everybody's channels, and then you can get Spacecrack Mag Volume 1, and the appendix or the supplement to that is also in the description. Links to Globebusters, and then all of our Patreons is also in there. So there's patreon.com/NurParaTodos, patreon.com/anthropology, patreon.com/jeranism, and patreon.com/globebusters. So all of them are there. Eru, I didn't let you go ahead, tell people what you have coming up besides Thursday with me, we hope, maybe.
Yes, the last one. The last screen share. The last one.
Oh, you're going to screen share?
Yeah, but it's nice. For the final. It's for the final part of the show.
Okay, let's go.
I was yesterday. We have the opportunity to go to the most important TV channel here in Argentina. It's called Channel 13. Of course, the logo is a sun. And this is a TV channel, and we give like an interview, walking all around the place with the T-shirt from Farsa. So that was really nice. We have this is the one of the program that is called Pop Up. Whatever, we give an interview with the people that I am in contact, which is this guy who is like Mike Canava from Argentina with the Art Flat group. So that was really nice. It was very, very short, only 8 minutes. And we give, we was this, me and the guy Alejandro Tarcia giving our point of view in terms of the flat earth. And then come the officials, the director of the planetary, to give but they don't want to cross with us. We came first, and then we go away, and then came the officials. They don't want to have like a live debate. And right now we have a estreno, is a premiere of this documentary. It's like a 4-chapter series from a very tiny television signal inside of one of our province here in Argentina. I participate with a friend of mine, which is a sociologist. It's called Rafael. Rodrigo knows him. This is the guy. He's a sociologist. But what I'm trying to say is we are pushing inside the media one more time, so we are very happy to do that. That's all for me.
So there's two different channels then.
Yeah, one of the channel is like the most important channel in the whole Argentina. It's a national television, and the other one is
that live?
Private...
No,
no
show out yet. No,
it's gonna take like 1 week, 10 days to prepare, post product. They're going to edit us, of course. They're gonna make edit, who knows, So, but we record everything from outside to compare, that kind of thing. So, I want to say thank you everyone who helped me.
Nice job, Hero.
To do that.
I like
Thank
that.
you, man. Thank you.
All right, guys, it's been fun. And I did put my address on the screen if you want to mail me something. Maybe if you want to mail me a giant carrot so I can try and eat that, you can do that. P.O. Box 3044, Merced, California, 95344. All right, any final words, anybody? Or are we all good?
We're good.
We're good.
All right, do your own research, because when you do, you'll never again believe what you've been taught. Till next time, this has been Jeranism and Friends in the Friday Lounge. Peace. See you Sunday for Globebusters.
Peace out.